Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Age of Gods. I log into the reincarnation space in the Gods domain. Chapter 1, Shunzhou Empire, South Region, Yangcheng Number 1 High School, Grade 3 Class A. Mu Chinger, Level, Demigod 9 stars, Written Test, 130 points, Actual Combat, 120 points. Lu Jia, Level, Demigod 8 stars, Written Test, 120 points, Actual Combat, 105 points. Xiaobing, Level, Demigod 7 stars, Written Test, 125 points, Actual Combat, 100 points. Hu Xiaofei, Level, Demigod 5 stars, Written Test, 30 points, Actual Combat, 120 points. On the podium, the head teacher Zhang Wei announced the results of the first college entrance examination simulation test, and when he saw the list of the last student, his expression slightly sighed. Yi Tian, Level, Demigod 9 stars, Written Test, 150 points, Actual Combat, 0 points. As the voice fell, the eyes of all the students in the class turned slightly to the student in the last row by the window. Yi Tian, a handsome young man with a somewhat unrestrained and uninhibited demeanor. He is the class study committee member and a genius who always gets full marks in theoretical classes. But he didn't expect that his first simulated combat performance would be so poor, which made his classmates whisper. Why is Yi Tian's combat performance so low? He is a demigod of 9 stars. Even if the god realm was opened before the mock exam, there is no reason for him to be at the bottom. Hey, you probably don't know that Yi Tian's initial race in the god realm is a slime. Isn't slime the weakest initial race? No way. No way, is there anyone who chooses slime as the initial race? I don't know what this genius thinks. Listening to these private talks, Yi Tian's face turned cold. As a demigod, no matter how quiet the surrounding voices are, his soul can hear them. But Yi Tian's face was so ugly, not because they were weird, but because he was tricked. Slime, it's not the slime that was reincarnated in another world and can devour the world. I must be stupid to choose it as the initial race. Yi Tian roared in his heart. He was not from this world, but from a blue planet. The day after making a wish during a meteor shower, he woke up and reincarnated into the world of global gods. 17 years passed unknowingly. In this world of global gods, everyone can open up the divine domain, ignite the divine fire, create the kingdom of God, and become a true god on earth. Everyone is born as a son of God, and obtains a divine body and soul. From childhood, according to the sacrifice method given by the empire, practiced to the semi-god realm, you can awaken the divine power and open up the divine domain. Then use the divine power to create the divine domain race. By strengthening the divine domain race, feeding back to the divine domain in oneself, and finally igniting the divine fire, condensing the godhood, and becoming a god. However, it is just a demigod who has just opened up the divine domain. The divine power is limited. The divine power required to create life is too huge. The school will give students a free divine domain race card to assist in creating the initial race. But free stuff is not good stuff. The race cards given by the school are all blank cards without any additional skills or talents, and most students will choose to spend money to buy God's domain race cards with additional effects. And Yi Tian had a problem when buying the special God's domain race card. Yi Tian's parents in this life died in the void battlefield, leaving a pension, and he grew up relying on the pension. Perhaps because of his 2 lives, his soul is very powerful, his cultivation speed is very fast, and his mind and ideas far exceed those of his peers. He has been known as a genius since he was a child and has received many scholarships. Originally, with the scholarship he saved, he could still buy a silver card on the market. There are 5 types of race cards on the market: white, silver, gold, black, and diamond. White cards are not worth much, only a few hundred divine crystals, which are the universal currency in the era of gods. Silver cards require 100,000 divine crystals, and gold cards require at least 1 million divine crystals. As for black and diamond cards, Yi Tian is not sure, because he dare not even think about it. Yi Tian originally planned to buy a silver card honestly, and then choose a race with good potential as the initial race, such as war apes, insects, blood cockroaches, etc. But just a few days before the mock exam, a senior who had a good relationship with Yi Tian and had been admitted to the University of God, said that he had a golden initial race card in his hand and could sell it to Yi Tian at a low price. Because the other party was already a primary god, and he had taken good care of Yi Tian in the past, although Yi Tian had doubts, after checking, he found that the card was real, so he agreed to the transaction. But he didn't expect that the race attached to this gold card was not the jellyfish tribe in the pattern, but the slime with a modified pattern. Although the gold card has a talent attached, it is still a very powerful talent. But no matter how talented a slime is, it is still a slime. Unless it is a slime with a cheat, no one can beat it. The final result is also seen, actual combat, 0 points. Moreover, for this gold card, Yi Tian borrowed a lot of money from friends, and now owes the senior 100,000 divine crystals, but the senior did not let Yi Tian sign a receipt. Haha, thank him so much for telling me what a sinister heart is before my junior graduates. Yi Tian's heart turned cold, and his eyes were indifferent. He remembered this grudge. I will definitely pay it back double in the future. Ding-ling-ling-ling. Just when Yi Tian was still thinking, the school bell rang. The head teacher Zhang Wei gave a simple explanation and left after class. Yi Tian, are you okay? How about I think of a way to ask my family for a silver card? With a light cry, the silly little fat man sitting next to Yi Tian couldn't help but comfort him when he saw that Yi Tian's face was still so cold. No need, monkey, I'm fine. The fat man's name is Hu Xiaofei. Others like to call him Fat Monkey, while Yi Tian usually calls him Monkey. He is Yi Tian's best friend. Because Monkey's parents are both strong gods, his family is wealthy. Before buying a gold card, Yi Tian asked him to borrow the god crystal. Although he was very grateful for Monkey's friendship, resources are too important in the world of gods. Monkey himself also needs to buy various resources. Yi Tian doesn't want to bother him anymore unless he is really forced into a desperate situation. But the college entrance examination. Hu Xiaofei hesitated. I'll find a way myself, huh? What? Yi Tian waved his hand, but at this moment, his mind was shaken. Ding! The host's divine power has reached the standard, the energy has been filled, and the system is starting. Progress 10%. 0.30%. 0.70%. Ding! Unlocking completed. The 10,000 Worlds login system is turned on. The host can enter his own divine domain and then log into the 10,000 worlds, and the current connected world, All People Reincarnate. All People Reincarnate World. A special world bound to the reincarnation space, where all people are reincarnators. 10,000 Worlds login system, All People Reincarnate World. Then can't I also log into the reincarnation space? At this moment, Yi Tian was ecstatic. Thinking of the countless resources and countless opportunities in the reincarnation space, he only wanted to say one word: invincible. Invincible. Yi Tian couldn't help laughing. What invincible? Hu Xiaofei blinked curiously, wondering if his brother had suffered too much and had a problem with his head. It's okay, you don't understand. Yi Tian raised his lips slightly, instantly regaining his confidence. What is the reincarnation space? People in this world don't know, but Yi Tian doesn't know. It's a magical space that can travel through the heavens and the worlds. It is usually equipped with a big light ball of the main god. The reincarnation space of the whole people's reincarnation is more special. There is no big light ball in it. The core of the space exists in the form of a temple or a reincarnation tower. And the whole people travel through the dungeon. The world level is very high. As for the world of the whole people's reincarnation, can it compare with the global god era where Yi Tian is? Well, the potential is not lost, but Yi Tian feels that it can't compare for the time being, because the main world where he is in has a strong man called God King. Although he doesn't know what realm the God King is, the high school textbooks don't explain it, and he is qualified to understand it after entering the God University, but according to some street legends, it is at least the combat power of the galaxy level. The universal reincarnation world should not have reached that level yet. If the universal reincarnation world has developed to that point, then Yi Tian has to be more low-key. Everything must be logged into the reincarnation space to know how to act, but no matter how far the reincarnation space of that world develops, it is a great opportunity for me. After Yi Tian pondered for a while, he decided to go home immediately and then log into the universal reincarnation world. Monkey, I'm leaving first, and remember to ask for leave for me tomorrow. After saying that, Yi Tian left the classroom without looking back, leaving Hu Xiaofei with a confused face. Ah, wait, why is there such a big change suddenly, and why do you want to ask for leave tomorrow? Hu Xiaofei couldn't figure it out, really couldn't guess Yi Tian. Fortunately, he is not a person who likes to use his brain, so if he can't figure it out, just don't think about it. Anyway, it's just to help ask for leave. With his family relationship, there is no reason for the head teacher not to approve it. At this time, Yi Tian had already boarded the high-speed train driven by divine power. The speed was extremely fast, almost the speed of light, so he was still in school the last moment, and returned to his two-story bungalow in the suburbs of his city the next moment. Although it was just a two-story bungalow, in the global era of gods, every inch of land was still worth a lot of money. If it was sold, it could still be exchanged for more than 100,000 divine crystals. And 100,000 divine crystals are the accumulation of most of the lives of many demigod families. If you can't become a god, you will eventually be the bottom of this world. Therefore, the college entrance examination in this world is extremely important, which basically determines the future of a family. Many families go bankrupt to buy a good god realm race card. However, why is the price of a small bungalow comparable to a god realm race card? Yi Tian is not very clear about this, but he feels that there must be some secrets. After all, after becoming a demigod, even if you sleep on the streets every day, you will not freeze to death or get sick. Going to school in the Shenzhou Empire is free. As for food, as long as you have hands and feet, you will never starve to death if you go to work. If you insist on the idea that it is impossible to work, and you will never work in this life, then there is nothing you can do. Forget it, these secrets have nothing to do with me for the time being. Yi Tian only thought about it for a moment, and then he didn't think about this problem anymore. The most important thing now is to log into the reincarnation space. System. Yi Tian called the system directly in his heart. Ding. In an instant, the Wanji login system showed the attribute panel. System Wanji login system. Host. Yi Tian. Level. 4th level. Demigod 9 stars. Skills. 9-year basic training in Shenzhou High School Edition. Current connected world. Reincarnation for all. Control of God's domain, metaverse. The name Yi Tian thought of. Domain area. 10,000 square kilometers. Resources. None. God crystal. 500. God's domain naturally produces 10 God crystals every day. God crystals are transformed by the void energy absorbed by God's domain. They can be stored in the God crystal card of the Imperial Bank and can be transferred freely. God's domain race, slime. Quantity. 500. Grade. F. Combat power. 5 points. Talent. Regeneration, S level. Skills. Physical reduction resistance. I didn't expect the system to show all my God domain attributes. My initial God domain area is definitely in the first echelon. Alas, it's a pity that it's this initial race. Yi Tian looked at his attribute panel and sighed slightly. Especially when he saw his God domain race, he still felt a bleeding feeling in his heart. S-level regeneration talent, as well as immunity to general physical attacks, are indeed very strong talents and skills. The number is also 10 times that of ordinary God domain initial races. Unfortunately, the combat power is too weak, and the 5 points of combat power are scum. The biggest problem of the slime race is not the talent skills, but the basic combat power. Although there are many slimes, the races created by the demigods when they open up the God domain are only a small tribe of dozens of people. Even the natural fighting races such as the War Ape tribe have an initial number of less than 10. But the combat power is only 5, and it is useless to increase the number tenfold, unless the number can reach 1,000 times or 10,000 times that of the opponent, and then rely on the human sea tactics and regeneration ability to consume the opponent alive. Of course, if Yi Tian's slime talent was changed to the talent of Xie Ocean, the protagonist of About My Reincarnation in Another World, becoming a slime, who can obtain the talent of devouring everything to evolve, all problems will be solved, and it can even be said to be a sure kill. Unfortunately, it cannot be changed. But it is not impossible. Once I enter the reincarnation space, everything is possible. Thinking of this, Yi Tian was more looking forward to entering the reincarnation space and wanted to use the system capabilities immediately. Just at this time, the system sensed what Yi Tian was thinking and gave a prompt. Ding. Please enter your own divine domain before using the system function. Huh, why do you have to enter the divine domain first? Yi Tian was slightly curious. Ding. The ancestral star of the gods where the host is located has the power of the gods to seal. Any creature from another time and space cannot enter directly. Similarly, any creature from this time and space cannot leave directly. Hearing this, Yi Tian thought of many things in an instant, such as the place where his parents sacrificed in this life, the void battlefield. But now is not the time to think about these questions. Yi Tian is more concerned about whether he can log into the 10,000 worlds at any time. If I don't enter my god's domain, I can't log into the 10,000 worlds. Ding. You can forcefully leave with the power of the system, but it may be noticed by the gods who have imposed the seal. Unless the host does not intend to come back, it is not recommended to log in directly. Is that so? It's okay. Yi Tian nodded. It is acceptable to be able to forcefully leave, but in order not to expose the existence of a system plugin, he still logs in the god's domain. Ding. Host. In fact, there are additional benefits to logging into the reincarnation space in the god's domain. At this time, the system prompted again. Yi Tian was slightly stunned. There are benefits to logging into the reincarnation space in the god's domain. What are the benefits? Yi Tian asked directly. Ding. The host is an omnipotent god in his own divine domain. Although the divine domain is still poor and far from being omnipotent and omniscient, after logging into the universal reincarnation world, the characteristics of the divine domain as immortal and the host as immortal will be retained, so the host can be reborn in the divine domain even if he dies with the ability of infinite rebirth. And even if the host gets into trouble with some gods, demons and immortal emperors in the copy of the reincarnation space, they must first find the coordinates of this divine universe in the heavens and the worlds, and after finding it, they must break through the seal of the gods. Because of the particularity of this universe, they cannot succeed. Haha, in this way, I am invincible. Yi Tian nodded. Thinking of this, it is not a bad thing that the main world has the seal of the gods. After a pause, Yi Tian thought of a possibility and asked worriedly, what about the reincarnation space? In case the mission fails, is there a risk of being wiped out? In an instant, the Wanji login system gave a decisive answer. Ding. The host doesn't need to worry about this. The system is limited in function due to insufficient energy, but if it is compared with the supreme law, this system is absolutely the strongest. Moreover, in the universal reincarnation world that the host logs in, there is no rule that this rule will be erased if there is no mission failure, because there is no need. The reincarnators who fail the mission will be eliminated naturally, and it is useless if they don't die. Then I have nothing to worry about. Yi Tian nodded. He didn't have to worry about death. His plans after entering the reincarnation space could be more crazy. However, although he would not really die, the cost of dying once would definitely be very high. Yi Tian could think of this without the system reminding him. Especially since Yi Tian's god realm has no resources yet, he can only spend god crystals to be reborn in the god realm, and the number of god crystals in his hand is too small. He will definitely go bankrupt immediately after rebirth, which may be more painful than death. But whether there is a threat of death or not, Yi Tian will not give up entering the universal reincarnation world. Because he will never miss this great opportunity. Let's enter the god's domain first. After making up his mind, Yi Tian returned to the bedroom, then opened the god's domain game cabin, lay down and entered, and put on the god's domain connection helmet. This set of god's domain connection equipment is free for everyone. According to the planetary regulations, demigods need to use this set of equipment before they are allowed to enter their own god's domain. Using this set of equipment can prevent gods above the demigod realm from invading their own god's domain and prevent the killing of geniuses. Not to mention demigods, many gods with low strength log into their own god's domain through the god's domain game cabin. And using this set of equipment is not omnipotent. When fighting with gods and foreign races on the battlefield, the enemy will not give you time to wear equipment. To put it bluntly, it is a set of equipment to make the planet more peaceful and stable, and to protect weak gods and genius gods, which is of no help in actual combat. God's domain. Metaverse. It's really desolate. Yi Tian sighed slightly after entering his own god's domain. His divine domain is very large, 10,000 square kilometers, enough for 100,000 people to move around, but the metaverse is currently an endless ocean. Except for 500 cute slimes, there are no other lives and resources. However, Yi Tian believes that this scene will soon disappear, and his divine domain will soon be able to change its appearance. No, it should be a complete change, to become the strongest divine domain. Then he will be promoted to a god and build the strongest kingdom of God. System, can I log in now? Yi Tian asked in his heart. Ding, you can log into the National Reincarnation world now. Open. A silver light flashed, and Yi Tian disappeared in his own divine domain. National Reincarnation World. Demon Sea City, Demon Sea Number 1 High School, Rooftop. Have you heard that the dungeons in the reincarnation space have finally been updated? I heard that there are also dungeons for gods and demons. The dungeons for gods and demons are really rare. It seems that the big forces are going to open up new land again, but this has nothing to do with us. You don't know this, right? Some dungeons have a strength limit of more than S level, but S level reincarnators can't enter. Some dungeons are obviously hidden with great dangers. Even big guys whose life level has surpassed humans may fall, but we F level reincarnators can enter. So, can we also enter the dungeons for gods and demons this time? Yes, but I don't plan to go in. Why? I don't want to die yet. Quote. Two students with shamat hairstyles who skipped class were still talking about the information about the reincarnation space. Suddenly, a silver light flashed in front of them, and a man in black with a noble temperament like a god appeared in front of them. Ah, big brother. The appearance of Yi Tian really scared them, but they didn't think it was strange. They just thought Yi Tian had just come out of the reincarnation space. After all, this kind of thing happens often. It's just that they didn't expect to meet a big boss. Yes, with Yi Tian's 9-star demigod and a combat power of 4th level in the system evaluation, he is indeed a strong man in this world. Big boss, it seems that my strength in this world is not bad. Yi Tian saw that the shock and exclamation of the two students were not pretended, and he immediately had some understanding of his own strength, and at the same time he was more confident about his future in the reincarnation space. After a pause, Yi Tian found that the two students had reincarnation watches on their hands, but he didn't have one because he logged in from another world. Can the reincarnation watch be used by others? Yi Tian stared at a student's eyes and asked indifferently. The student's expression was dull for a moment, as if he was scared silly, and he said naively, the reincarnation watch is not a rare thing. Everyone is born with it, bound to their own soul, and can buy new ones in the reincarnation space, and can also buy and sell freely. Some people who are afraid of death or like comfort give up becoming reincarnations and sell their watches, but this kind of watch is more expensive. Oh, why? Yi Tian asked curiously. You can change an ID. The student answered. ID. Yi Tian nodded. It seems that every soul in the reincarnation space corresponds to an ID. It is equivalent to a game account. Thinking of this, Yi Tian looked at the two students in front of him with eyes full of nuclear kindness. A few minutes later, after getting what he wanted, Yi Tian disappeared into the void. The two students with the shamat hairstyle trembled, and after a long time they came back to their senses and looked at each other. Ah, were we robbed by the big guy? Why would a big guy like him take a fancy to our reincarnation watch? Yes, and he even exchanged it with a few glowing pebbles to insult us. That's right, why don't you insult us a few more times? The two shamat students felt the gentle power in the divine crystal in their hands, and they wished that Yi Tian would go back and insult them thousands of times. If Yi Tian was still here at this time, he would definitely slap these two funny guys twice to make them sober up and stop daydreaming all day long. And giving them a few divine crystals is not because Yi Tian is more principled. He just doesn't want to make things worse. If they robbed their reincarnation watches, after Yi Tian became famous in the reincarnation space, some powerful forces would definitely try to investigate Yi Tian. If they couldn't find out Yi Tian's identity, they would also try to collect special events that happened during the period when he appeared to see if they could find some clues. Don't underestimate the wisdom of a world. If you think from another perspective, Yi Tian would also investigate in this way. Although Yi Tian didn't think anyone could find out that he was from another world, it was better to have less trouble than more. Choosing to trade is different. Although it is a forced sale, trading reincarnation watches is not a special event in this world. Is this the reincarnation space of this world? Yi Tian was slightly surprised when he just stepped into the reincarnation space. The reincarnation space of this world is not the reincarnation tower, nor the reincarnation hall, nor the white space that comes with the main god's big light ball. It is a city, a huge city with a wall that is unknown how high it is. The three gilded characters, Reincarnation Tower, are carved on the city gate with special runes. Although the runes are not recognized, the meaning can be understood. It's obviously a city. Why is it called the Samsara Tower? Standing at the gate of the city, Yi Tian couldn't help but complain. Hee, you are a newcomer, right? When I first logged into the Samsara space, I had the same expression as you, but the Samsara Tower is not as simple as I imagined. At this time, a 17 or 18-year-old, rustic-looking samsarist happened to log in behind Yi Tian, grinning with memories. Oh, I wonder if you have any advice for me. Yi Tian didn't deny that he was a newcomer. Influenced by various novels in his previous life, Yi Tian felt that the most important thing to look down on in the samsara space is the newcomers. The samsarists who look down on the newcomers often die the fastest. Although Yi Tian is indeed a newcomer. Haha, I dare not say I can give you advice, but I like you, young man. I want to remind you that it is best for newcomers to buy information from the city's know-it-alls after entering the city, and choose the world that suits them best. F-level reincarnationists only have one login card to enter the reincarnation dungeon every month, so don't waste it. The first world you choose is the most important, but I think you are not like an ordinary person. After the silly young man finished speaking, he looked at Yi Tian meaningfully. For some reason, Yi Tian made him feel very special. He had only felt this kind of specialness in the big brothers of reincarnationists. Special confidence. Thank you. Yi Tian smiled politely, and then they each stepped into the reincarnation building. After entering the city, Yi Tian found that the Samsara Tower looked like a city from the outside, and it looked even more like a city from the inside. There is a skyscraper in the center of the city, and there are all kinds of modern buildings in the four directions of the east, south, west and north. On the street, you can even see some reincarnations handing out flyers. There are also city coordinates and maps at the city gate. Looking at the map, it is found that there are all kinds of food, entertainment, and industries in this samsara city. I don't know if there is a one-stop industry on the street. It's interesting. It's worthy of being a national reincarnation. It's very close to the people. Yi Tian smiled and found that this reincarnation space is no different from the global god world where he has lived for more than 10 years. Putting aside the mysterious power, it is no different from the daily world in the previous life. Are you a know-it-all? Let's go and take a look. Yi Tian looked at the place marked on the map where information was sold. It turned out to be a milk tea shop, which was very close to the city gate, and then walked over. But when he approached the milk tea shop and heard the discussion of the guests, Yi Tian stopped. For the new copy, Ninja Continent, choose Rain Village. I heard that the leader of Rain Village is Hanzo, who is known as the demigod, and he intimidates the 5 major ninja villages with his own strength. Why choose Rain Village? There are 5 major countries. Cloud Ninja is the strongest. I have seen Lord Raikage fight. Once the lightning armor is opened, he is invincible in the world. Choosing Konoha is the most hopeless. The 3rd generation Hokage is the strongest in history, but he is still an old man. Choose Thunder Ninja. I choose Mist Village, not for any reason, just because the Mizukage is fierce enough and pleasing to the eye. Brother, do you want to she? You are so desperate. Even if the reincarnation space can resurrect people, you still need points. Haha, although I don't have points, I have never been afraid of anyone when it comes to survival. Why do you all choose the Ninja Continent? Isn't it better to choose the Great Navigation World? Get a devil fruit and your strength will increase greatly. Devil fruits are not that good, and you can't swim after eating them. It takes a lot of points to get rid of the side effects. Come to the Death God copy and choose the 5th team. Captain Eisen is a very good person. He said he admired me last time. Quote. Yi Tian's face was full of black lines, and he complained in his heart, What the hell is going on? The third generation of Hokage is the strongest in history. The Thunder Shadow is invincible in the world. There is also a reincarnation who said that Aizen is a good person. I'm afraid that Aizen doesn't admire him, but finds his abnormality. It is estimated that he will be sliced and studied by Aizen next. This information is better not to buy. After thinking about it, Yi Tian found a seat and sat down, thinking secretly. Sure enough, just like the routine of the novels in my previous life, the natives of the universal reincarnation world don't know the plot of the reincarnation copy. The reincarnators don't know the plot, but I do. This is another big advantage of mine. Relying on the reincarnation space, I can definitely become a top god. After entering the reincarnation space, the next step is to obtain resources in this way and how to develop and expand my own divine domain. But it's not enough for me to become stronger alone. The global divine universe is my main world and my main battlefield in the future. Whether it's the battle of the divine domain or dealing with foreign enemies in the void battlefield, I need to cultivate the divine domain race. Moreover, the stronger the divine domain race is, the stronger I will be. The qualitative change caused by quantitative change, this way of promotion is easier than personal cultivation in the later stage. If my divine domain race can also become a reincarnator, with the information I provide, the growth rate will be absolutely terrifying. Wait, that's not right. Why can't I do the opposite and let the reincarnators become my own divine domain race? Suddenly, Yi Tian's mind flashed with an extremely crazy idea. A plan that not only makes himself stronger, but also digs into the corner of the reincarnation space. Reincarnationists enter the reincarnation space, nothing more than the pursuit of power and extraordinary life. I don't know how many reincarnationists are sacrificed every year for this. Yi Tian's plan is very simple and violent. Reincarnationists cannot resist powerful forces. As long as they can gain power, they can fight for him, and they may even sign a contract to become his subordinate gods. In the universe of gods, there are huge profits to be made in both the war in the gods' domain and the battlefield in the void. Although it is dangerous, is there no danger in the reincarnation space? The number of reincarnationists in the universal reincarnation world is more than 10 billion. Since the emergence of the reincarnation space, it is estimated that the planet has a population of more than 100 billion. How many reincarnationists die in the mission world every year? I am afraid it is more than 10 million. Moreover, Yi Tian can directly resurrect the reincarnationists who died in the gods' domain. Of course, he has to pay a lot of divine power, and it depends on whether the other party is worth it. Yi Tian can also provide intelligence advantages to the reincarnationists who surrender to him. Of course, the biggest benefit must go to Yi Tian. Yi Tian eats meat, and his subordinates can drink some soup. If they are beautiful subordinates, he can give them extra rewards of billions. In short, working for Yi Tian is far better than wandering alone in the reincarnation space. However, the premise of the plan is that Yi Tian's identity cannot be exposed. At the same time, in order to ensure absolute loyalty, a contract needs to be signed in the reincarnation space. The whole plan still needs a lot of details to think about, and it is impossible to accomplish it overnight. The first step of the plan is to make a name for yourself and become famous in the reincarnation space. The second step of the plan is that Yi Tian plans to go to the Naruto copy. It is too wasteful for the reincarnationists who die in the mission world every year. See if you can find a way to use them first. And now, first, find the best copy of the Traverser in the reincarnation space and strengthen your own strength. Yi Tian murmured, and then walked towards the skyscraper in the center of the reincarnation space. The core of the Samsara building, so the dungeons are all in the floors of the skyscraper, no wonder it is called the Samsara building. After Yi Tian entered the Samsara building, he found the first dungeon he wanted to enter in the crystal hall on the first floor. Dungeon number CAO 9527. Dungeon name Superpower Out of Control. Overall evaluation F level. It's here. Yi Tian's mouth slightly raised. He didn't expect that he didn't even need to walk a few steps. The dungeon he wanted to enter was near the entrance, but there was no one at the entrance of the dungeon, which surprised him a little. But it happened to be just what he wanted. However, Yi Tian's unconventional behavior also attracted the attention of the reincarnationists at the dungeon entrances around him. Hey, that guy over there is a newcomer, standing in front of the superpower out of control copy and laughing. No way, someone went into that useless copy. That copy is not as good as Detective Chinatown. At least you can get points for solving the case. Doesn't he know that there is no superpower person in the copy? Haha, let alone superpower people, there is not even a ghost. The first time I entered this copy, I stayed in it for a month and couldn't find a hair. Don't even mention a hair. What is the main task? Find the trio of fate. At the beginning, we are teleported to a small town in a beautiful country, and then asked to find the trio of fate. Who knows who the trio of fate is? It seems that the kid at the door is definitely going to fail. Hey, it's okay, newcomers are like this, accept the beatings of society and be honest. Haha, useless copy. Yi Tian sneered in his heart. He believed that there were only useless reincarnations in the reincarnation space, but no useless copies. The copy of the movie, Superpower Out of Control, is one of the copies that time travelers dream of, with the lowest difficulty and the highest return. It tells the story of the protagonist Andre and his friends Steve and Matt, who accidentally encountered a mysterious cave after a party and touched a space meteorite inside. The three of them gained superpowers, which triggered the subsequent story. Although the movie ended up being a tragedy, superpowers are real and are a very low-cost opportunity for time travelers to gain superpowers. The premise is to find Andre and his friends before they enter the cave, otherwise the superpowers will be theirs. But it's no wonder that the reincarnationists who entered this copy complained. After all, they didn't know the plot, and didn't even know Andre's names, so they could only rely on the reincarnationists' own wisdom and observation ability, as well as luck. Perhaps the meaning of this copy is that the reincarnation space wants to test the reincarnationists on these 3 points. But Yi Tian doesn't need it, because in this reincarnation space, he is as omnipotent and omniscient as God. At this moment, God, come. Yi Tian suddenly remembered the declaration of his middle school years in his previous life, smiled slightly, and then stepped into the Superpower Out of Control copy. Embark on the road to invincibility. Ding. The player Tiandi has entered the Superpower Out of Control instance. What? He really went in. Listening to the prompt at the entrance of the Samsara instance, the nearby Samsara players were shocked. Who is that person? Heavenly Emperor, I haven't heard of him. He should be a newcomer. A newcomer. His name is quite impressive, but the ignorant are fearless. I wonder how long he can stay in there. He will probably get bored and come out in 2 days. The reincarnations outside the Superpower Out of Control copy were more or less surprised, and then most of them were not optimistic about this Heavenly Emperor. But when Yi Tian came out, they might have a different look. At this time, the Superpower Out of Control plane. A small town in the United States. Is this the login of the reincarnation? You can choose your identity at the beginning, which is quite convenient. Yi Tian, wearing a high-level police uniform, appeared at the gate of the town's government and smiled slightly. He chose this identity to facilitate his actions. And he didn't plan to look for people all over the world. If you want to investigate the home addresses of 3 people, the easiest way is to find the official. And I don't know if it's because Yi Tian is a demigod. After he chose his identity, he got a high position, which is considered a middle and senior level in the town management system. Therefore, Yi Tian found the location of Andre, Steve and Matt very easily in the name of handling the case. Then within 20 minutes, Yi Tian found them at a villa party. Ding. Main task 1, find the fate trio, complete. Get 1000 points. Publish the main task 2, change the fate of the trio, reward, 10,000 points, 1 lottery. Haha, I get 1000 points, and there is the main task 2, change the fate, which seems to be easier. Yi Tian smiled slightly. As long as he finds the space crystal meteorite first, the fate of these 3 people will definitely change. As for Andre and the others, they have no superpowers. Whether the future is good or bad, Yi Tian doesn't care. At most he will give them a few pieces of divine crystal stones to get rid of them. As for now, Yi Tian doesn't plan to wait for their party to end before he catches the cicada and the oriole behind. Open the soul, search for me. Yi Tian uses the soul power of his own semi-god 9 stars to open the sea of consciousness. In the world of gods, he rarely uses his soul power. Unexpectedly, in the world of out-of-control superpowers, the effect is outstanding, and the sea of consciousness directly covers the entire town and even the entire city. The most surprising thing is that Yi Tian found that his demigod-level soul power has no restrictions in this world. The water in this world may be a bit deep. Yi Tian's demigod-level power is not restricted, which means that the upper limit of this world is not just demigod. Although Andre and his friends' final strength is far less than demigod after obtaining telekinesis, they only get the power given by a mere space meteorite. The origin of that space meteorite is definitely extraordinary, which can allow ordinary people to obtain superpowers, and Andre and his 3 people have almost no price to pay, and their potential is not weak. At the end of the movie, Andre can cause large-scale damage to the city. This is a kind of power that turns decay into magic. Found it. Just as Yi Tian was thinking, the Sea of Consciousness found an extremely shining gem, which contains great energy. There is no doubt that this is the meteorite crystal in the movie. Ding! Hidden item found. Cosmic Energy Stone. Points: 5,000, current points: 6,000. Another 5,000 points, are points so easy to get. Yi Tian found that points are really easy to earn. Well, if the reincarnation outside heard this sentence at this moment, they would definitely complain. Human words, okay. You 3, just be ordinary people. After discovering the location of the meteorite crystal, Yi Tian glanced at Andre and the others, and then quickly came to the cave where the meteorite was. And when he touched the meteorite crystal with his hand, the divine body reacted instantly. Ding! Item obtained. Cosmic Energy Stone. The energy stone is supplemented with divine power. Yi Tian was slightly startled. What does it mean? This meteorite did not give him power, but also absorbed his divine power. Ding! Obtained the counter-replenishment of the Cosmic Energy Stone, and obtained the S-level skill, Super Energy System Telekinesis. Reincarnation. Emperor of Heaven. Level F. Combat Power S++, Level 4, Demigod 9 stars. Talent. Regeneration S level, derived from the God Realm race. The God Realm race has the talent skills, and the God Lord must also master it. Passive skill. Physical reduction resistance. Skill. Telekinesis S level. S level skill, not bad. Yi Tian nodded. This telekinesis skill is really good, it has reached S level. According to the evaluation of the reincarnation space, the talent skills of the demigod level should be between S level and SS level. Although in the God universe, it is rare for gods to participate in battles in person, but it is always good to have an extra S-level talent. Ding! The Cosmic Energy Stone can be stored in the host God realm, automatically replenish energy, and activate the talent of the God realm race to obtain superpowers. At this time, the Wanji login system issued a long-lost reminder. If the previous reward made Yi Tian a little happy, now he is ecstatic. A group of slimes is not scary, but a group of immortal regenerating slimes, each with superpowers, is a bit scary. Besides, Yi Tian's future God Realm races will be more than just slimes. If all his God Realm races are one superpower ahead of the enemy. Tisk tisk, who dares to fight a God Realm war with him? With this space meteorite Cosmic Energy Stone, Yi Tian can imagine what expression will be on the face of the gods who will be his enemy in the future. I dare not say about the battles above the primary gods, but at least in the battles between demigods and primary gods, a race with an extra S-level talent skill can have an advantage. Ding! Get the Cosmic Energy Stone, complete the main task 2, change your fate, and get rewards, 10,000 reincarnation points, 1 lottery. Just when Yi Tian was ecstatic, the reminder sound of the reincarnation space sounded again. Sure enough, taking the space meteorite, their fate has changed. Yi Tian was not surprised at all, as he had expected that the tasks of the super-powered out-of-control copy were so simple. Completing one task basically completes all the tasks. The task is very simple and direct, otherwise it will become one of the best dungeons for traversers. The key point is whether you know the plot. You can return, but before that, Yi Tian thought about it and decided to give Andre and the others a few divine crystals as rewards. The energy contained in the divine crystal is enough to cure Andre's sick mother. Even if she can't be cured, she can live like a normal person. A divine crystal does not have much divine power, but no matter how small it is still divine power. Demigods and gods need to use divine crystals, so you know its value. It is useful to reincarnators, not to mention ordinary people. And Steve and Matt obtained the divine crystals, and they are free to sell or absorb them slowly. Cause and effect are clear. Thoughts are clear. The most important thing for doing this is that Yi Tian's thoughts are clear. Therefore, Yi Tian spent half an hour to explain everything, and left this copy world with Andre and the other two looking at God. Reincarnation building, in the hall. Ding. Player Tiandi has completely cleared the superpower out of control dungeon, completed the hidden task, and obtained an SSS level evaluation. Ding. Player Tiandi has completely cleared the superpower out of control dungeon, completed the hidden task, and obtained an SSS level evaluation. Ding. Player Tiandi has completely cleared the superpower out of control dungeon, completed the hidden task, and obtained an SSS level evaluation. In an instant, all the reincarnations in the city of Samsara Tower heard the prompt. The SSS level evaluation is the only server-wide announcement. Even the reincarnations who are not in the reincarnation space can hear it. At this moment, all the reincarnations were shocked. You know, since the beginning of the era of universal reincarnation, it seems that no one has ever heard of the SSS level. One is because they don't know the information. The SSS level evaluation must complete the hidden task. The second is that after the strength is strong, some dungeons cannot be entered. Third, they don't want to take risks. The reincarnation dungeon is not a joke. Many people know that there are SSS level evaluations, but for the sake of safety, they will not deliberately look for hidden tasks. If they provoke some big boss behind the scenes and wipe out the reincarnationists, who can they go to for justice? With these factors, if it weren't for Yi Tian, it's unknown when the first SSS evaluation would be obtained. Emperor of Heaven, who is he? Great Emperor of Heaven, I want to give birth to a baby. It's almost time to give birth to a baby. We don't know if the Emperor of Heaven is a boy or a girl. I know, he's a boy. I just saw him enter the superpower out of control copy with my own eyes. I thought he was a newcomer, but he turned out to be a great master. Oh my god, superpower out of control can get an SSS level rating. Isn't that a famous useless copy? So, this Emperor of Heaven is quite extraordinary. I don't know where he came from. He's the illegitimate son of those S-level Legion leaders. Who knows, if I had known he was so powerful, I would have just flattered him. At this moment, the reincarnation forum went crazy, with millions of comments skyrocketing. In this people-friendly world of reincarnation, the reincarnation forum has of course been popular for a long time. Yi Tian searched the forum from the reincarnation watch and was also surprised. This speed of eating melons, wow. But then again, I completed the hidden task, and I didn't think so much. Yi Tian's original evaluation could only reach SS level evaluation, and finally completed the hidden task, that is, the gratitude of Andre's trio. Yes, because Yi Tian saved Andre's mother, Andre didn't have to go crazy later, Matt didn't have to kill the crazy Andre himself later, and Steve, who was originally dead in vain, didn't die because of Yi Tian. So, this hidden task was settled after Yi Tian left the copy. I almost missed it, but fortunately I didn't ignore Andre's trio for the sake of my thoughts. Yi Tian was a little relieved. You know that the rewards for SSS level talents are extremely generous. Get SSS level evaluation, the reward is increased tenfold, and an additional supreme lottery. Note: each copy has only one SSS level evaluation opportunity. Once someone completes it, there will be no SSS level evaluation. Current attributes: Reincarnation, Emperor of Heaven. Level: F. Combat power, S++, 4th level, Demigod 9 stars. Talent: Regeneration, S level. Passive skill: Physical reduction resistance. Skill: Telekinesis, S level. Samsara points: 160,000. Items: Lottery tickets x10, Supreme lottery tickets x1. Just now, Yi Tian asked the system that Samsara points can be directly exchanged for divine crystals, with a 1-to-1 ratio, which is 160,000 divine crystals. However, according to the information found on the Samsara forum, it is more cost-effective to buy items in the commercial street of the Samsara Space City. As for the lottery tickets x10, there is no need to say, 10 consecutive draws, no need to worry about failure. The supreme lottery ticket, but it is guaranteed to get S level or above items. It can be said that Yi Tian returned with a full load this time. Strengthen your strength, obtain the cosmic energy stone that activates the race's superpowers, and make a splash in the reincarnation space. The initial plan went very smoothly. The next step is to use this harvest to go back to the God universe and expand the God realm. Hee, senior, I won't let you wait for long. Yi Tian thought of the senior god who had cheated him in the past and laughed coldly. Ding. It is recommended that the host use the lottery ticket before returning to the God's universe. Ah, why? Yi Tianwei originally wanted to return to his own God realm to draw the lottery. In his God realm, he is the only true God, and perhaps he can influence the lottery results. Ding. The lottery ticket of the reincarnation space is best used in the reincarnation space. Once you leave, you must cross the boundary to transfer the prize to the host. Oh, I understand. Yi Tian immediately understood that he was not a reincarnation in this universal reincarnation world, he came from the God's universe. Once he returns to the God's universe, it is a question whether the reincarnation space can directly transfer the reward. Even if it can, it is estimated to be very troublesome. After all, there is a seal of the gods on the ancestral star. It is better to have less trouble than more trouble. Then let's try 10 consecutive draws first. I am the Emperor of Destiny. Yi Tian quickly found a quiet corner in the reincarnation building, and was a little eager to play. Since he traveled through time and was reborn in the God's universe, he has not played the card drawing game. It's not that there are no mobile games in the Age of Gods, but Yi Tian is too poor. Most card drawing games require Krypton gold. However, the mobile games in the Age of Gods are worth the money, because the props in the mobile games can be exchanged for real and can be effective in the God's domain. In the Age of Gods, the game produced by the strongest game company, Yuan Shen, can also draw pets and girlfriends. Of course, those girlfriends are machine bionic people, without souls, and they are maintained and upgraded. They are all pure love settings, and cross-border behavior cannot be done to them. However, even with many restrictions, looking at the living and moving wife still makes the fat otaku in the world of Gods revel. Yi Tian has to sigh that the money of fat otaku is really easy to make. It seems that there is not much difference between fat otakus in all the heavens and worlds. Speaking of which, Yi Tian admires the designer who came up with this idea. It is said that this idea was proposed by the daughter of the Yuan Shen consortium. What a genius! Speaking of which, that rich lady seems to be the same age as Yi Tian, maybe he can meet her at the University of Gods in the future. Yi Tian thought of this and inexplicably became interested in this rich lady. Let's draw cards first. Reincarnation space, start 10 consecutive draws. Yi Tian called the reincarnation space and made 10 consecutive draws with one click. Ding! A burst of golden light passed by, forming a golden magic circle, and then countless cards emerged from the magic circle, rotating, and finally fell into Yi Tian's hands. Congratulations to player Tiandi for obtaining Copy Identity Cards X5B Login Card X1 A Time and Space Login Cards X3 A Venue Magic Card Legendary City Atlantis S Identity Card. When logging into the reincarnation space copy, you can adjust your identity. The more noble your identity and the stronger your bloodline, the more cards you need to consume. Login Card. Get an extra copy login. Time and Space Login Card. You can adjust the time and space node when logging into the copy. Field Magic Card. Legendary City Atlantis. This card can be used as the Field Magic, C. Effect 1. The attack and defense of water attributed life on both sides of the enemy and the enemy increases by 200. Effect 2. In Atlantis, the reproduction speed of water attributed life can be increased by 1 level. 4 A's and 1 S's, I'm lucky. Yi Tian just said it casually, but he didn't expect that he was really lucky. Although he wanted to increase his attack power, because his God Realm race has strong defense, what he lacks is attack power. However, the Field Magic card Atlantis also has the effect of increasing attack power. 200 points of attack power is not much, but for the slime with almost 0 attack power, it is already very good, and it can be placed in his own God Realm. I remember that this is a card from the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! Thinking of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Yi Tian still misses it a little. He can consider Yu-Gi-Oh! Dungeons in the future and collect the 3 mythical gods. Gods, of course, must use god cards. Next, it's the highlight. Yi Tian looked at the Supreme Draw card in the inventory, and was looking forward to it. It was at least a treasure of S level or above. I hope to draw a weapon with strong attack power, preferably a divine weapon. Reincarnation space, open the Supreme Draw. Yi Tian shouted in his heart. Ding! Congratulations to the player Tiandi for winning. God-made weapon Heaven Lock. God-made weapon Heaven Lock, Enkidu's body. Heaven Lock, the stronger the divinity, the stronger the restraint, but it cannot exceed the limit. Wanji login system prompt. It has an effect on gods below the God King realm of the God universe. It is effective below the God King realm. Yi Tian looked ecstatic. With the Heaven Lock, his strength can be said to have made a leap, and he can be invincible even when facing the primary gods. It is worthy of being the Supreme Draw, it is really not covered. Moreover, the Heaven's Chain is effective against gods below the God King realm, so it is absolutely easy to deal with his God Senior. Unfortunately, Yi Tian's attack power is not enough, even if he catches the god, he can't kill it. However, with the Heaven's Chain, he can't escape even if he wants to. As long as Yi Tian's God Realm race combat power is improved, it will be his death. Originally, Yi Tian wanted to wait until he reached the level of a god before taking revenge. Now with the Heaven's Chain, maybe he doesn't need to become a primary god to have a chance to kill that fool senior. Now all he needs is a killing blow, a fatal blow that can kill a god. Don't be too anxious, otherwise my secrets may be exposed. In the reincarnation space, many things have the means to kill gods. It's a matter of time. Restraining the excitement in his heart, Yi Tian smiled slightly. In his heart, the senior is already a dead man, so there is no need to rush. If he is anxious and exposes too many of his secrets, it will not be worth the loss. There are plenty of opportunities. It's time to go back. After calming down, Yi Tian decided to return to the God's universe first and strengthen his own God realm. As for the 160,000 reincarnation points, he was not in a hurry to use them. Yi Tian had just made a name for himself. If he immediately spent a lot of money in the commercial street of the reincarnation space, it is estimated that a lot of people from powerful forces would come to him soon. Although they would not threaten him to join, there would definitely be trouble. It is better to return to the God's universe first. The variety of goods in the Beibao Chamber of Commerce in the God's universe is not necessarily worse than that in the reincarnation space. And if you log out of the reincarnation space, you will directly enter the reincarnation space next time you log in, which can save a lot of trouble and avoid risks. System, return, Yi Tian silently said in his heart, and then he turned into a light spot and left the reincarnation space and returned to his own God realm. I'm back, what does it feel like? In the God realm, after Yi Tian came back, he felt that his strength suddenly increased, and he felt like he was in another world. I didn't feel it when I was in the reincarnation space, but when I returned to the God realm, I clearly felt that my strength suddenly became much stronger. Ding, the God's domain is also a part of the gods. The system prompted. I see, Yi Tian understood now. He logged into the reincarnation space in the God's domain, but the God's domain remained in the God's universe. The God's domain is also a part of his soul. So after returning to the God's domain, he had this feeling. Gods and mortals, the life levels are indeed different. Yi Tian sighed, and when he was about to go out to see the time passing, the God's domain connector received a message. Is it her? Yi Tian frowned slightly surprised by the woman who sent him the message. What does she want to talk to me about? Yi Tian looked at the avatar and list of people in the message popped up by the God Realm connector, thought about it, and chose to connect. Ding! A flash of white light passed by, and in the image in front, a 17 or 18-year-old girl wearing a white princess dress appeared in front of him. Mu Chinger, his class monitor, and also the best student in the school except Yi Tian. Sorry, I'm bothering you. Mu Chinger's soul image appeared in the God Realm metaverse and she was a little restrained. It was her first time to enter the boy's God Realm. However, Yi Tian's God Realm was a little different from what she imagined. Unexpectedly, it was an endless ocean. The area of the God Realm was a little scary, 10 times that of her. Is he really a genius? It's a pity that the God Realm race chose the slime. If it weren't for the fact that the God Realm race was too weak, she felt that she might never catch up with Yi Tian in this life. Class monitor, what's the matter? Yi Tian had a lukewarm attitude. Although Mu Qinger is very beautiful, with a fairy-like temperament, and her family background and character are also excellent, her personality is somewhat aloof, and her relationship with Yi Tian is just average. Moreover, it is very impolite to rashly apply to enter someone else's divine domain. As if she felt Yi Tian's attitude, Mu Qinger felt a little embarrassed, but thinking of the purpose of this trip, she still said with a hard scalp, I came here to remind you that Zhao Xiaorui may cause trouble for you tonight. Zhao Xiaorui, the useless guy in the next class. Yi Tian frowned when he heard this. Zhao Xiaorui's family background is not bad. Both of his parents had fought in the Void battlefield. Later, they retired and turned to business, making a fortune. They also have a certain status among the wealthy nobles in Yangcheng. And Zhao Xiaorui's eldest brother Zhao Tianrui is also a genius. He graduated in the same class as Yi Tian's senior. Only Zhao Xiaorui, who has such a good family background, is a waste. His cultivation is only a demigod star, which is really eye-catching. But he is a waste, and Yi Tian has no grudge against him. Is it because of you? Thinking about it, Yi Tian's eyes suddenly became sharp when he stared at Mu Qinger. Obviously, this matter is related to this woman. I really didn't use you as a shield. Mu Qinger saw that Yi Tian's eyes were not right, and she explained continuously, fearing that Yi Tian would misunderstand. I haven't asked yet, why are you so anxious? Yi Tian couldn't help laughing. Is this considered confession? This beautiful class monitor also has a silly side. No, it's just that guy has been pursuing me before, and I got impatient, so I said that if his mock exam scores can surpass yours, I will consider it. This is how it has been quiet for half a year. I didn't expect that you had problems in the mock exam this time. I'm sorry. Mu Qinger lowered her head, looking like she was admitting her mistake. It really had nothing to do with Yi Tian. She never dreamed that Yi Chen's mock exam scores would be so bad. How many points did he get in this mock exam? Yi Tian frowned. The comprehensive score is 150, the same as yours. Mu Qinger sighed helplessly. This sigh was not because she felt that Zhao Xiaorui's problem was difficult, but more because she felt sorry for Yi Tian's talent. Yi Tian's use of soul power and his understanding of the divine realm were far beyond his peers. Of course, with Yi Tian's talent, if Yi Tian was willing to bow his head, some forces would be willing to support Yi Tian, a genius, but the price was to sign a contract to sell himself and become a slave of those powerful gods. Based on her understanding of Yi Tian, it was impossible for Yi Tian to give in. So, in order to prove that he is better than me, he might apply for a battle with my divine realm tonight. Yi Tian guessed the truth of the matter at once. I'm sorry. Mu Qinger apologized again. If saying sorry is useful, why do we need the pacification bureau? Yi Tian curled his lips and said, then do you need compensation from me? Mu Qinger's eyes lit up, and she stared at Yi Tian with burning eyes. Yi Tian was stunned. What's going on? She seemed to be eager for him to ask for compensation. Could it be that she had some special hobbies? Seeing Yi Tian's misunderstanding, Mu Qinger hurriedly explained, if you need a divine crystal stone or a silver-level divine race card, I can compensate you. As long as you defeat Zhao Xiaorui, you don't have to feel embarrassed. Just think of me hiring you. Oh, Yi Tian understood. This woman came to apologize, wanted to help him, and solve Zhao Xiaorui's trouble, which was not a big deal. And if Yi Tian couldn't log into the reincarnation space, he would really agree to her request. But, I refuse, Yi Tian said without hesitation. Why? Mu Qinger's eyes were full of disbelief. I don't like trouble. It's easy to help you deal with Zhao Xiaorui, but this guy may cause trouble to me in the future. He has a brother and parents. Although the Shenzhou Empire strictly prohibits internal fighting and gods cannot be demigods, there are many ways to deal with someone, both openly and secretly. I hate trouble, Yi Tian said indifferently. I am wishful thinking, so you should consider it. Mu Qinger thought about it and it was indeed the truth. In fact, she wanted to say that she could ask her grandfather to warn the Zhao family, and the Zhao family should not dare to cause trouble to Yi Tian, but she thought about it and gave up. And Yi Tian looked at Mu Qing'er's appearance and was sure that she really wanted to help him and came here specially. But she was also sure that she caused him a little trouble. Ding! Zhao Xiaorui is on the Feiyu platform, and he is challenging you to live broadcast the battle in the divine realm. At this time, the Wanji login system issued a prompt. The system has long taken over Yi Tian's divine realm connector, so any information from the outside world can be notified to Yi Tian in the first time. Neither Yi Tian nor Mu Qing'er expected that Zhao Xiaorui would declare war on Yi Tian on the Feiyu Live broadcast platform. Yi Tian checked the information and found that the title of Zhao Xiaorui's Live broadcast room was extremely arrogant. Demigod 1-star challenges Demigod 9-star, who is the strongest genius and the strongest loser in history. What does this loser want to do? Live broadcast the battle in the divine domain. Yi Tian's face was cold. Not only did he come to provoke him, but he also wanted to humiliate him in front of all netizens in the Shenzhou Empire. It seems that Zhao Xiaorui is not going to give up. If Yi Tian refuses to fight, it is estimated that the next day, reports such as, the strongest genius in history is a turtle, will appear on major self-media on Shenzhou.com. Really looking for death. Yi Tian turned to Mu Qing'er and said, I agreed. I still owe Hu Xiaofei 100,000 divine crystals. You pay it back for me. Ah, Mu Qing'er was stunned. She didn't expect things to turn around so quickly. She just said she refused. Are all men so fast? Just because I hate trouble doesn't mean I'm afraid of it. Yi Tian didn't want to earn Mu Qing'er's money, but Zhao Xiaorui was asking for trouble. With the Zhao family's background, there should be a lot of good things in Zhao Xiaorui's divine domain, so he accepted it reluctantly. Give it to Hu Xiaofei. 100,000 divine crystals are not a problem, but do you really not need my help? Mu Qing'er really couldn't figure out how Yi Tian had the confidence to face Zhao Xiaorui alone. It must not be relying on 500 slimes. Although the 500 slimes floating in the ocean of the metaverse are very cute, are they really capable of fighting? Just watch carefully. Yi Tian smiled slightly, and his figure flashed into the bottom of the metaverse, and then the green magic light shone in the ocean. Boom boom boom. The vibration like the creation of the world made the sea roll, as if a huge city was born out of thin air on the bottom of the sea. Temple. Mu Qing'er clearly sensed above the metaverse that a huge, ancient, but artistic ancient city was born in the underwater world. It was the legendary city of Atlantis. The ancient temple also contains the power of the sea god. Mu Qing'er regarded Atlantis as a temple. The core building of the god's domain is the temple. The temple can bless the fighting power of the races in the god's domain, and once the temple ignites the divine fire and condenses the divine nature, it can be promoted to a god. Therefore, the first thing all demigods build in their own god's domain is the temple. But Yi Tian's temple is too majestic and complete. It doesn't look like it was built by himself, but rather like the temple cards sold in the Beibao Chamber of Commerce. Mu Qing'er bought the temple from the Beibao Chamber of Commerce, but she found that the grade of her temple was much worse than Yi Tian's. Where did Yi Tian get the temple? Is there someone secretly supporting him behind the scenes? Mu Qing'er frowned slightly, and suddenly felt that Yi Tian was a little mysterious, not as simple as she thought before. But she didn't plan to get to the bottom of it. After all, everyone has their own secrets, and she is not that kind of woman. And Yi Tian didn't let Mu Qing'er leave, because Zhao Xiaorui was going to broadcast the battle live, and Mu Qing'er would see the process whether she was there or not, and she would know his temple at that time. Furthermore, Mu Qing'er was in his divine domain, and Zhao Xiaorui probably thought it was Mu Qing'er who gave it to him. 10 minutes later, Yi Tian used the magic venue Atlantis as a temple, and placed the cosmic energy stone obtained from the copy of Superpower Out of Control in the temple, activating the potential of all 500 slimes. Perhaps because slimes are too plastic, the effect is extremely amazing after obtaining telekinesis. It's time to start the war, wait and see. When Yi Tian appeared next to Mu Qing'er again, he said lightly. Mu Qing'er was infected by Yi Tian's confidence, nodded repeatedly, and stood aside like a well-behaved daughter-in-law, and she didn't even know why. Haha, he agreed. At the moment Yi Tian agreed, Zhao Xiaorui, who was still sneering on the Feiyu Live platform, was overjoyed. He always disliked Yi Tian. He is obviously an orphan from a poor family, but he is so dazzling and handsome. In the past, he really didn't dare to target Yi Tian, because Yi Tian had good grades and was protected by the school, and Shenzhou would never tolerate the persecution of genius gods. Therefore, Zhao Xiaorui, a little clever dude, did not have any conflict with Yi Tian even though he was jealous of Yi Tian. But today is different. The mock exam results came out, and Yi Tian failed. Now he is a fallen genius. Then he can be bullied at will. Not to mention, because Yi Tian is still an obstacle to his pursuit of Mu Qinger. Although Zhao Xiaorui also knew that Yi Tian was just an excuse, he couldn't stand this bad mouth. You deserve it. Watch me kill your God Realm race tonight. How can you have the face to stay in Yangcheng in the future? Zhao Xiaorui confidently clicked to start the God Realm war, but he didn't know that he had started a nightmare. God's domain. Metaverse. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The earth-shattering tremor, the sky torn apart, the dark clouds pressing down, a divine force coming from outside, causing a certain impact on the entire metaverse. Is this the God's domain battle? Although I have seen many videos, this is the first time I have seen it in actual combat. Mu Qinger found that watching the video and watching the battle on the spot felt really different, which made her soul tremble a little. Hehe, here it comes. Yi Tian ignored Mu Qinger, but looked directly at the God's domain race that appeared in the crack of the God's domain. There are actually 500 of them. Under the perception of Yi Tian's soul, he clearly saw a legion of 500 people. A legion of humanoids riding armored war horses, wearing heavy armor, and holding maces. They are no different from humans, except that they are bigger and have 3 eyes. Yi Tian, you have to be careful. Zhao Xiaorui's initial race in the God Realm is the Three-Eyed Clan, which is similar to the human race, but with several times stronger physique and powerful strength, but weak mental resistance. In addition, the Zhao family spent a lot of resources on him, and the initial number was 10 times that of the general Three-Eyed Clan, and he awakened the S-level talent of the Three-Eyed Clan, the Laser Eye, and his eyes can use lasers. Mu Qinger reminded on the side. The Zhao family is really willing to spend. Yi Tian sneered. Zhao Xiaorui's race in the God Realm is obviously much stronger than the average demigod. At least several million God crystals were smashed for a 1-star demigod. They are really willing to spend. Humph, Yi Tian, you are just jealous of me. At this time, Zhao Xiaorui, who entered the God Realm and wore luxurious armor, snorted coldly with a very gloomy face. He didn't expect Mu Qinger to be there, and talked happily with Yi Tian, which made him even more jealous. I'm jealous of you, I'm afraid it's the other way around. Yi Tian sneered. Zhao Xiaorui has the face to criticize others with the jealous eyes of a male dog in heat. It's really funny. Go to hell, Three-Eyed Tribe, kill them for me. Zhao Xiaorui was hit in the sore spot and immediately broke his defense and directly ordered the Three-Eyed Tribe to attack. 500 Three-Eyed Tribe warriors, after receiving the order, immediately drove the Iron Cavalry to charge. Their Iron Cavalry are not ordinary, they can still run fast on the water, and quickly approach the temple of Yi Tian. As long as they break through the slime defense line around the temple, they can destroy the temple unscrupulously, without attacking the slime at all. Zhao Xiaorui is a demigod after all. Although he is a waste, he also knows the principle of capturing the king first. As long as he destroys the temple of Yi Tian, he can win. As for whether he can win, Zhao Xiaorui has never worried about this problem. 500 slimes without fighting power, can they stop my 500 Three-Eyed Tribes? If they can, I will eat the slime's poop on the spot. Zhao Xiaorui sneered at the live camera when he saw that the situation was settled. His live broadcast room also caused a burst of laughter. After all, slimes have no fighting power, and no one has cultivated slimes above level 2, so the audience in the live broadcast room did not take it seriously. But Yi Tian looked very strange when he heard it. This guy, is he here to cheat for food and drink? What are you talking about? Yun Qinger said angrily. What kind of topic is this? Haha, then I will satisfy him. Yi Tian smiled coldly. He originally wanted to torture Zhao Xiaorui slowly, but the other party made such a request, so he satisfied him. Telekinesis fusion. With an order, 500 basketball-sized slimes actually all surfaced and all merged together to form a huge slime 10 meters high, several times the size of the Three-Eyed Tribe. This is not over yet. Telekinesis expands. Under the power of telekinesis, the giant slime absorbs the surrounding water to grow stronger, and its body continues to expand. It soon reaches a height of 100 meters, and its body is like a Godzilla. Ah, this. Zhao Xiaorui, Mu Qinger, and the audience in the live broadcast room were all stunned. Slime, can you play like this? Chapter 11. You cheated, this is not a slime at all. Zhao Xiaorui's mentality exploded. This is not a slime at all, but a deep-sea monster covered in slime skin. Just a few seconds after Zhao Xiaorui roared, dozens of three-eyed cavalrymen were swallowed by the giant slime. Decompose with telekinesis. Yi Tian smiled slightly and ordered again. Ordinary slimes have a lot of gastric acid in their bodies, which can even dissolve clothes. It goes without saying how strong the dissolving ability of a 100-meter-tall slime is. With the blessing of telekinesis, the three-eyed people were evaporated almost at the moment they entered the stomach. After eating these three-eyed soldiers, the size of the giant slime seemed to have increased again. Qualitative change caused by quantitative change, your slimes have reached the level of third-order life. Mu Qinger sighed. The races in the god realm are naturally divided into levels. Reaching the fourth level is a demigod life form. The third level is already the strongest life race below the demigod. Zhao Xiaorui's three-eyed tribe is only level 1. Although it is the top level in level 1, it is simply useless when facing a level 3 beast. It's okay, just a pseudo level 3. Yi Tian said lightly. It's okay. Mu Qinger didn't know whether to say that Yi Tian was modest or not. Yi Tian's strength of using the weakest race to achieve the strongest effect is just okay, then what is she? No, if this goes on, the whole army will be wiped out, and I don't even need to take the college entrance examination. Zhao Xiaorui was completely panicked. If the three-eyed tribe was wiped out here, his parents would not waste so many resources for him no matter how much they doted on him. Without a powerful divine race, he, who scored almost 0 in theory, would not be able to enter the University of Gods and become a god. I won't fight anymore, retreat, surrender and lose half. Zhao Xiaorui saw that the giant slime was still chasing his three-eyed soldiers, and shouted hurriedly. Surrender and lose half, who told you that? Kill them all. Yi Tian sneered. Since he had offended him, he would kill them all and leave no harm. If Zhao Xiaorui won, would he let him go? Yi Tian. Zhao Xiaorui gritted his teeth and took out a card, which emitted a blue light and formed a protective shield to wrap the giant slime. It is a barrier card made by the gods, but Zhao Xiaorui's weak divine power will not last long. He should want to block the attack of the giant slime so that the troops can retreat. Mu Qinger saw Zhao Xiaorui's plan at a glance and reminded him. Do you want to escape now? But I don't plan to let him do so. Yi Tian stretched out his hand, and his own telekinesis was also blessed on the giant slime, and then he squeezed it. Telekinesis explosion. The giant slime over 100 meters high quickly condensed into a small ball of black light, and finally exploded after being suppressed to the extreme. The telekinetic power exploded like a black hole, and even the void was cracked. A single encounter shattered the divine power barrier that Zhao Xiaorui had deployed, and wiped out all the fleeing three-eyed people. Instantly wiped out. No. Zhao Xiaorui vomited blood and fainted directly, and his soul was forced to disappear in Yi Tian's divine domain. The battle in the divine domain ended. It took less than 10 minutes. Everyone in the live broadcast room felt incredible and a little unsatisfied. Because they still wanted to see if Yi Tian had other moves and whether he could play the slime in a fancy way. The most shocked person was Mu Qinger. She didn't expect Yi Tian to be so strong and could use the slime to this extent. If she were to command and control it, she could win, but she would definitely not be so invincible. Is this the genius who scored full marks in the theory class? Did you faint? At this time, Yi Tian was a little unhappy, because Zhao Xiaorui escaped because of the forced exit mechanism, and he originally planned to let Zhao Xiaorui fulfill his promise. His race in the divine realm was completely wiped out, so he must have been seriously injured. In addition, he was so angry that he fainted. Mu Qinger came back to his senses and said, "Pause, but it's a pity for your slimes. They all exploded." Mu Qinger was a little regretful. Exploded? Who said that? Yi Tian pointed to the metaverse ocean. All the slimes that exploded just now recovered, and the number reached 5,000. 5,000. They are not dead, and the number has increased tenfold. Mu Qinger rubbed her eyes and looked at Yi Tian as if she was looking at a monster. They have the talent for regeneration. As for the number, it's very simple. Slimes have a strong reproductive ability. As long as they absorb enough life energy, they can split on the spot. The life energy of the three-eyed tribe is several times that of slimes. Yi Tian said lightly. The biggest gain of this battle is the three-eyed tribe brought by Zhao Xiaorui, and then the equipment left by the three-eyed tribe army is also very powerful. It can resist the explosion of slimes without being completely broken. It won't soar to 5,000 even if it's several times, unless your temple has the ability to increase the reproduction of races. Mu Qinger is not stupid, and guessed the key point at once. Because high-grade temples have this function, the most important thing in the god's domain is the god's race, and the reproduction ability of the race is a very important training point. Not bad. This is not a secret, Yi Tian is frank. You really gave me a big surprise. I'm afraid that if the races in the god's domain are of the same level, no one can beat you. Mu Qinger sighed, and a different look flashed in her eyes when she looked at Yi Tian. Yi Tian smiled and didn't comment. Come on, Yi Tian, I look forward to the day when you become a god. I have a feeling that the world of gods will be more exciting because of you, especially in this life. Mu Qinger looked at Yi Tian deeply, and then withdrew from Yi Tian's god's domain. This life. Yi Tian thought Mu Qinger's words were a bit interesting. And it seems that she didn't intend to say this sentence, but only told him because of his performance, hoping that he would work hard to become stronger. Becoming stronger. I hope you won't be too surprised when the time comes. Yi Tian thought of the reincarnation space and said with great confidence. The next day. Ding ling ling. Yi Tian woke up leisurely on the second floor of the small bungalow, and the mobile phone maid of Shenjing rang. Monkey, what's wrong? Didn't I ask you to help me ask for leave? Yi Tian clicked on the Shenjing mobile phone, looked at the fat and silly face in front of him, and said with some dissatisfaction. It must be unpleasant to be woken up by a phone call early in the morning. Although as a demigod, I basically don't need sleep, I'm used to it, and it's very comfortable to sleep, especially after practicing tired. Hee, I'm just excited for a while. Hu Xiaofei said with a smile. What are you excited about? Yi Tian was speechless. Brother, don't you know that the video of you defeating Zhao Xiaorui last night is now popular all over the country? Let me tell you, when I asked for leave for us today, the class teacher Zhang Wei's smiling face was as kind as my own father, and he approved it without saying a word. Hu Xiaofei said with a slightly exaggerated expression. Ah, you asked for leave too. Yi Tian smiled, and probably guessed what reason Hu Xiaofei used to ask for leave, and he must have used Yi Tian's name. Hee, thanks to your exaggerated record. Hu Xiaofei smiled but said nothing. What a fuss, it's just a slime, the primary gods can easily cultivate slimes to this level. Yi Tian said lightly. You said it's a primary god, how can gods and demigods be compared, they are not in the same dimension. Hu Xiaofei complained speechlessly. Is the gap so big? Yi Tian frowned slightly, he didn't forget his revenge goal. Isn't it big? My father said that if you want to become a primary god, the race of the god realm must have at least 1,000 third-level lives, of course 10 demigods and 10,000 second-level lives are also okay. Hu Xiaofei said depressedly. If you don't get into the god university, it's really hard to become a god. The high school students opened up the god's domain, and the initial race was only a small tribe, and it was still level 1. To grow to that level, you must be admitted to the god university, which is dedicated to training gods. However, that's it, Yi Tian blurted out. It seems that the gap is not as big as imagined. He now has 5,000 slimes, which are at least equal to the combat power of 10 level 3 when fused together. Although there is still 100 times difference, the slime reproduces so fast. As long as there is enough life energy, he can match the gods in minutes. That's it, brother, can you speak human language? Hu Xiaofei was confused. He knew that his good brother was not the kind of person who would easily expand, but he still had to talk. Well, Shaoshan, the emperor, that's not what I said. You have to understand that gods have divine nature. Their divine races will be much more powerful with the blessing of divine nature. If they burn their lives to sacrifice themselves, they can also burst out with terrifying power. Even if they encounter a higher level life, they can still fight. With some special means, they may even win. Hu Xiaofei said seriously. He didn't want his brother to challenge the gods because of his arrogance and then suffer a big loss. Hu Xiaofei knew the grudge between Yi Tian and that senior very well. Although it was only a one-star god at the initial stage, Hu Xiaofei didn't think Yi Tian could defeat the other party now. In other words, the divine power of the gods is equivalent to 1001-star demigods or 10 sub-gods. Yi Tian murmured. Sub-god, a name between the demigod 9 stars and the primary gods, has a combat power close to that of gods, but has not reached the realm of gods. Almost, now you know the difference. Hu Xiaofei nodded. What kind of situation is Linla in? Yi Tian asked. Linla was the senior who cheated him at the beginning. Hu Xiaofei was confused. 1000 demigods or 10 sub-gods. Yi Tian curled his lips and said, his reaction was really slow. It should be the former. The combat power of most primary gods is equivalent to 1000 demigods, so it is easier to condense the godhood. This is what my father told me. He is also a peak middle-level god. Hu Xiaofei said with some pride. Middle-level god. It is the backbone of the era of gods. Son of God, demigod, primary god, lower god, medium god power, middle god, strong god power, upper god, also called true god. The textbook only mentions these 5 realms, each with 1 to 9 stars. Most high school students are not qualified and do not need to know the realms above the true gods. Because most gods will never reach the middle god realm in their lifetime. Monkey's father is at the peak of the middle god, his strength and vision are indeed beyond words, and he also has a pivotal position in Yangcheng. Okay, stop showing off your father. Yi Tian laughed and scolded, then thought to himself, 1001-star demigods. It is indeed difficult to defeat them with slime alone. It seems that he has to rely on his reincarnationist stealing corners plan. The third level life in the god's domain is equivalent to 1000s level life in the reincarnation space after the extreme sublimation, but the S-level strongman in the reincarnation space can definitely defeat these strong S-level life with improved combat power in seconds, because most of the reincarnations have trump cards. So, the real combat power is equivalent to the combat power of 1000 A-level reincarnations. In the reincarnation space, although the A-level reincarnationists are the backbone, their number is definitely not small. After all, there are tens of billions of reincarnationists. Yi Tian calculated in his mind, and then set a small goal, recruit 10,000 A-level reincarnationists. He will repay the original revenge tenfold. After a pause, Yi Tian looked at Hu Xiaofei and asked, you woke me up early in the morning, what else is there? It's not just because of the trivial matter of me defeating Zhao Xiaorui. No big deal, I just want to tell you that tomorrow is the Beibao Festival. Beibao Chamber of Commerce will have special discounts, and there will be a 1 yuan rush at 12 o'clock tonight. Don't miss it. Hu Xiaofei paused and said. Well, there's more. Yi Tian saw Hu Xiaofei's tone paused, and it was obvious that there was something else. The next thing is a big deal. Tomorrow, the only true god of our Yangcheng town Fuxi will return from the void battlefield. Hu Xiaofei said, you mean the true god Qin Yan? Yi Tian thought of a name that everyone in Yangcheng knew. A legendary figure from 100 years ago. He became a true god at the age of 30. He was the top man in Yangcheng town Fuxi. He was known as the strongest genius in Shenzhou in the past 100 years and a genius who had the hope of breaking through to the true god. Yes, it is Lord Qin Yan. However, Lord Qin Yan's return this time is not a simple change of defense, but a great achievement in the void battlefield. He will be rewarded by the royal family at that time. When Hu Xiaofei mentioned the royal family, his expression was extremely odd. Royal family reward, you mean that the royal family will come to Yangcheng in the near future? Yi Tian was shocked. If even the royal family was shocked, then Qin Yan's military exploits in the void battlefield this time must be extraordinary. The royal family of Shenzhou is not only the symbol of Shenzhou, but also the pyramid of Shenzhou's fighting power. Shenzhou's Dinghai Shenzhen. It is said that members of the royal family with pure blood are born as primary gods. There is no need to say how many strong people there are in the royal family. Just the starting line is ahead of many people for a lifetime. The first emperor who established the royal family of Shenzhou is an invincible legend. His divine title is Zulong Shendi. In the entire Shenzhuzhuxing, only 5 gods with the title of Shendi were born, which are the founders of the 5 empires on the current Shenzhuzhixing. Shendidi as a realm or a title, Yi Tian is not sure, but anyway it is stronger than the God King. I don't know how much foundation the 5 Shendidi left for the 5 empires, and the status of the royal family is unshakable. It can be said that even the gods above the true gods dare not show any disrespect to the royal family, let alone the true gods. Is the royal family really coming? Yi Tian thought. Everyone in the royal family has noble blood and rarely leaves the imperial city. Qin Yan's return from the battlefield may be more than just a reward. Of course, my dad told me to be low-key when I go out these days. Hu Xiaofei muttered. On weekdays, he is still quite high profile when he goes out. Although he is different from Zhao Xiaorui, he is more or less arrogant. But if the royal family comes to Yangcheng, he must not be so high profile. It's better to be low-key. Anyway, it has nothing to do with us. Yi Tian nodded. It has nothing to do with me, but it has something to do with you. Hu Xiaofei said with a serious expression. Huh? Yi Tian was slightly stunned. What does it have to do with him? He is not an illegitimate child of the royal family who is stranded outside. It doesn't matter, but Lord Qin Yan also graduated from our school, and the place to commend him this time is chosen in our school. You will go on stage as a student representative. Hu Xiaofei said with some envy. It would be so face-saving to be able to stand with members of the royal family and Lord Qin Yan. However, it's so troublesome. Yi Tian cursed directly. Hu Xiaofei, did I hear it right? Such a glorious thing, you actually find it troublesome. Hu Xiaofei felt that Yi Tian was becoming more and more rude. Others would never get it in their 8 lifetimes. If you want to go so much, then go by yourself. Yi Tian said, Brother, I want to go, but the royal family asked you to be a student representative. Hu Xiaofei wondered. Because I defeated Zhao Xiaorui. Yi Tian said, Yeah, brother, your brain is fast. Hu Xiaofei smiled innocently. I don't know any members of the royal family. The royal family members asked me to be the representative. This is the only possibility. It seems that my performance last night was quite outstanding. Yi Tian murmured. He felt that it was natural for him to kill Zhao Xiaorui in seconds, but in the eyes of others, he was a bit of a demon. After thinking carefully, Zhao Xiaorui's God Realm race was quite strong, and his actual combat score was at least 100 points. Yi Tian killed him in seconds, and it was an invincible kill. Even the barrier card refined by the gods was broken, and he used slime. This is like Pokemon using Pikachu to defeat Zapdos. Only Pikachu can do it. You really have no self-awareness. Hu Xiaofei looked at Yi Tian with some resentment. Why is the gap between gods so big? Invisible pretense is the most deadly. His brother is getting more and more pretentious. He was worried about Yi Tian all night yesterday. He also wants to pretend. He also wants to be a non-human. Oh, what trouble. Yi Tian really didn't want to meet the royal family members, it was too high profile. It's troublesome, but I think it's a good thing. Think about it, when you stand in front of Lord Qin Yan and the royal family, the Zhao family will not dare to retaliate against you in the future. Zhao Xiaorui will avoid you when he sees you, and some divine universities may even admit you in advance. Hu Xiaofei analyzed it carefully. To be honest, it is true. Yi Tian nodded. In this world where theocracy is supreme, the royal family is the symbol of theocracy, and its influence is so great. So great that even the king of gods has to bow his head. Although he felt that there were other things about the royal family's arrival this time, it had nothing to do with him and he was too lazy to think about it. That's it, I already know the matter. Monkey, you can go away, I still need to sleep. Yi Tian nodded, then turned off the Shenjing mobile phone and took a nap. I haven't said anything about my matter yet. Hu Xiaofei was puzzled. He had something else to ask Yi Tian. Now the phone couldn't be reached again, so he could only talk about it after school the day after tomorrow. Time passed, and he slept until noon. The divine light shone on his body, and Yi Tian got up lazily. It's 12 o'clock, I have to do business. Yi Tian planned to enter the reincarnation space again tonight, so he had to go to the Beibao Chamber of Commerce to buy an extremely important thing. Reincarnation altar. An altar that can revive one's own race in the god's domain. This is very important for Yi Tian's next plan in the reincarnation space, and will determine whether he can trick the reincarnators into serving him. Although gods have the ability to revive their own races in the gods' domain, the divine power of the demigods is not enough to revive the dead, otherwise Zhao Xiaorui would not have been so desperate last night. Only with the reincarnation altar can the demigods revive the dead races. Moreover, it also needs to consume divine power. If the divine power is not enough, only divine crystals can be used. This is also one of the reasons why Zhao Xiaorui is desperate. The Zhao family has already spent millions of divine crystals on him, and it will cost more to completely revive the 500 three-eyed people. The Zhao family can be regarded as a wealthy family, but it is only in Yangcheng. It is good to have a net worth of 100 million divine crystals. They will also be very hurt if they spend tens of millions of divine crystals at once. What's more, the reincarnation altar is very expensive. I only have 160,000 reincarnation points. If I convert them all into divine crystals, I will only get 160,000. After leaving the house, Yi Tian silently calculated his property in his heart and found that the money was still not enough. The Beibao Chamber of Commerce can be purchased online, but the reincarnation altar is really expensive. The worst one requires 100,000 divine crystals. Although Yi Tian has money, after thinking carefully, he decided to go to the Beibao Chamber of Commerce in person. Because the Beibao Chamber of Commerce not only sells things, but also recycles treasures. He wants to see if there are any rare treasures that are in short supply in the Beibao Chamber of Commerce. The things that the Beibao Chamber of Commerce lacks may be easily bought in the reincarnation space. Yi Tian just wants to be a middleman and make a profit. Not to mention, Yi Tian thinks that his middleman plan has great potential. Because the reincarnation space has copies of all the heavens and worlds, basically any treasure can be obtained. The simplest example, the infinite gems of the Marvel Universe, doesn't the Beibao Chamber of Commerce accept them? I guess the Chamber of Commerce boss will buy it after selling the Beibao Chamber of Commerce. Hehe, maybe I can get rich overnight. Yi Tian thought secretly, and then stepped into the skyscraper where the Beibao Chamber of Commerce was located. Wow, that little girl is amazing. How much food did she eat? I don't know, the rice bowls are piled up into a small mountain. Chang, this appetite is unparalleled. Little foodie girl. As soon as Yi Tian entered the door, he felt that the style of painting was a bit wrong. Is the Beibao Chamber of Commerce holding a big stomach king competition? But there was no publicity around. With the idea of less trouble, Yi Tian did not plan to join in the fun. But he didn't want to join in the fun, but he didn't expect that the fun would take the initiative to find him. Brother Yi Tian. As soon as Yi Tian turned around in the mall, a sweet voice like a silver bell came from behind him. Yi Tian raised his eyebrows and turned around to see a cute little girl with silver hair and a school bag, blinking her big cute eyes at him. And the customers around the mall were all looking at him, especially the noodle shop owner next to the mountain of rice bowls. Especially the noodle shop owner had a strange and unfriendly look. Yi Tian instantly realized that it should not be a big stomach king competition, but a free meal. And the little girl who ate so many noodles should be the cute little girl in front of him. Little sister, do we know each other? Yi Tian pointed to his face and asked. Yeah, I know brother Yi Tian, and sister Chinger often mentions you. The little girl smiled. Quote. Yi Tian, this is also considered knowing. But it seems that this little girl also knows Mu Chinger. Is she her relative? Brother, can you pay for me first? The little girl said, pulling the sleeve on his arm. This girl has great power. At this moment, Yi Tian was a little surprised. Although there was a seal of the gods on the Earth's ancestral star, which prevented the gods living on Earth from destroying the Earth, the power was real and would not be weakened. Yi Tian was a demigod 9-star, and the little girl's power was almost enough to pull him. Did she start practicing since she was born? I'll pay for you. Don't you have money? Yi Tian was not so poor that he couldn't afford a meal. Although the little girl ate a lot, the price was at most a few hundred god crystals. It was just a drop in the bucket for him now, but why did she ask Yi Tian to pay, and Yi Tian paid? I never pay for meals. The little girl said sincerely. But I have this. After a pause, the little girl's eyes turned, and she smiled and took out a dark golden coupon, shining with divine light. Yi Tian's system immediately displayed its attributes. Beibao Chamber of Commerce coupon. Beibao Chamber of Commerce coupon with law rune engraved. All items below True God are 10% off. This, Yi Tian was slightly surprised. It was actually a 10% discount coupon from Beibao Chamber of Commerce. Could this girl be the daughter of Beibao Chamber of Commerce? Otherwise, it would be impossible to get such a treasure. 10% off, 10% off, to buy items below True God, it is definitely a treasure. Hee, brother Yi Tian came here to buy something, so this coupon is very useful. The little girl said proudly. I do want to buy something, but do you really want to pay with this? Yi Tian felt that the value of this coupon was far more than a few hundred God crystals. This thing is useless to me. The little girl muttered. That's true. Yi Tian didn't think much about it. This little girl might be the daughter of Beibao Chamber of Commerce. Even if she wasn't, she was a noble daughter of Mu Qing'er's level. The coupons from Beibao Chamber of Commerce were really useless to her. As for why she ran out alone and ate a free meal, Yi Tian knew there must be a reason, but he didn't ask because he was not familiar with her and everyone had their own secrets. Thinking of this, Yi Tian directly paid for her meal, then took her coupons and walked into Beibao Chamber of Commerce. And after Yi Tian paid, the little Lolita didn't continue to follow him, but jumped on her chubby little carrot legs and strolled towards the mall. This little girl always feels that she is not that simple, but she will definitely not suffer any loss with such great strength, so don't worry about her. Yi Tian only glanced at the little Lolita's back, and then ignored it, walked into the elevator, and went to the top floor of the mall Baobao Pavilion. Baobao Pavilion. Beibao Chamber of Commerce is a counter that specializes in selling rare treasures. As soon as Yi Tian entered the door, he saw a lot of goods starting at 100,000 God crystals. The goods displayed at the door are all 100,000 God crystals. This Beibao Chamber of Commerce is quite high-end. Yi Tian took a rough look and found that they were all good goods. For example, God's Domain Spaceship, Defense Tower, Large Defense Barrier, Formation, etc. There are also God's Tools and Weapons, God's Props that can only be fully exerted by gods, armor that can defend against the attacks of 9-star primary gods, and daggers that can hurt primary gods. And the goal of his trip, the Reincarnation altar, is also in the cards placed in the second row of crystal cabinets at the door. The price ranges from 100,000 God crystals to millions of God crystals. Yi Tian carefully checked the card information and finally took a fancy to an altar with a black skull card. Altar of the Underworld. It comes from the underworld, contains the blissful pure land of the underworld, can preserve soul imprints, can revive the dead, consumes very little divine power, but the disadvantage is that the resurrected life will be stained with the breath of the underworld and is not suitable for survival in the human world. Price: 1 million divine crystals. The breath of the underworld. Not suitable for survival in the human world, could it be turned into an undead race? Yi Tian roughly guessed the disadvantage of this underworld altar, but if it didn't have this disadvantage, its value would be at least 10 times what it is now. Being able to preserve soul imprints means that not only can it revive its own divine race, but any life that is willing to give Yi Tian a soul imprint can be resurrected by Yi Tian. And the divine power consumed to resurrect them is very little. These two advantages are what Yi Tian needs most now. They are also the most important part of Yi Tian's reincarnation space plan. God really helps me, is my luck really that good? Yi Tian even doubted whether he was destined to be the emperor of luck. The treasure pavilion has everything. Sir, are you interested in this underworld altar? At this time, a beautiful young lady at the counter came to Yi Tian and said with a smile. Indeed, Yi Tian admitted frankly. Sir, you have a good eye. This underworld altar is said to come from the divine realm of a fallen Hades. It was not originally sold directly, but was exchanged for goods. However, it was put on sale because of its defects. However, if the race in the divine realm is the underworld undead, obtaining this altar will be like adding wings to a tiger, like a fish in water, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it is invincible at the same level. The young lady was very frank and explained the advantages and disadvantages of the underworld altar very clearly. And when she saw that Yi Tian was so interested in this underworld altar, she also thought that Yi Tian's race in the divine realm was the undead. The altar of the underworld king. I see, then pack it up. Yi Tian directly exchanged 100,000 reincarnation space points for 100,000 divine crystals and handed the young lady the coupon he had just obtained. Sir, please wait a moment. The young lady originally just regarded Yi Tian as an ordinary wealthy customer, but after seeing the coupon, her attitude immediately became respectful. Even during the transaction, even the female manager came over, calling him Mr. Yi, which made Yi Tian a little embarrassed. It seems that the girl is really from the Beibao Chamber of Commerce. After buying the underworld altar, Yi Tian was more certain about it in his heart. The goal was achieved, but Yi Tian did not leave immediately. Instead, he continued to stay in the Beibao Pavilion, but not to buy goods, but to come to the treasure appraisal room in the center of the Beibao Pavilion. In the treasure appraisal room, Yi Tian did not want to appraise the treasure, but wanted to check what treasures the Beibao Chamber of Commerce would recycle. After reading it, Yi Tian found that he had a misconception in his thinking. That is, the Beibao Chamber of Commerce basically does not lack any treasures, but even if it does not lack treasures, it still recycles all treasures. Conduct auctions, collect handling fees, help people find treasures, earn middle prices, etc. Tisk tisk. Awesome. Yi Tian somewhat admires the money-making methods of the Beibao Chamber of Commerce. If he has such a chamber of commerce under his command, he can make a fortune every day. Hey, if I create such a chamber of commerce in the reincarnation space to earn points for me, it seems feasible. Yi Tian's mind flashed, and he thought of such a brilliant idea. Moreover, the chamber of commerce created by Yi Tian, who can go back and forth between the two worlds, will have greater advantages, and can recruit a group of subordinates with particularly business acumen, and leave all the troublesome things to them. It seems that I still have some business acumen. Yi Tian smiled, and he was not very interested in the idea of earning middle prices before. After all, it is not as direct as opening a chamber of commerce, and it is not as valuable as opening a chamber of commerce. But just when he was about to leave the treasure appraisal room, he unexpectedly saw the treasure hunting bounty posted on the wall. SSS level treasure hunting order. SSS level treasure hunting order. Reward content. Treasures that can heal the wounds of the true god's body. You will get the friendship of a peak true god and 10 top-grade artifacts. Top-grade artifacts, 10 pieces. Yi Tian was a little surprised. Top-grade artifacts are artifacts of the upper level of the true god. 10 pieces, even if it is a true god, it is basically all his wealth. It seems that the body of a true god has been seriously injured and cannot be healed. Yi Tian secretly thought in his heart whether he could benefit from it. There must be treasures in the reincarnation space that can heal the true god. Yi Tian first thought of the fairy beans in the Dragon Ball world. As long as there is a breath, you can be resurrected in full state, provided that the physical injuries are not healed. For physical injuries, fairy beans can heal, even if the strength reaches the level of the destroyer god. In the Dragon Ball world, it is still effective. System, can fairy beans heal the damage to the true god's body? Yi Tian said. If it can be healed, then Yi Tian can enter the Dragon Ball copy a little earlier. Ding. Okay. The Wanji login system immediately gave the answer. Sure enough, the power of the true god is still a little weaker than that of the Dragon Ball universe. Yi Tian remembered the setting of the Dragon Ball world. If the god of destruction and the Super Saiyan god did not control their power, 3 punches at full strength would destroy the universe. The true god of the god universe should have reached the level of Starburst, far from the level of destroying the universe. The legendary god king is rumored to be galaxy level, but it is just a rumor. But in any case, it is stronger than Yi Tian's current demigod. Although it is safe to be sealed by the gods on the ancestral planet Earth, Yi Tian does not like this feeling of being protected. True god, god king, I am still too far away now, but one day I will catch up with them. Yi Tian clenched his fists and vowed in his heart to take an invincible road. Invincible in the world. And to embark on that invincible road, the reincarnation space is indispensable. Tonight, we will start the second step of the reincarnation space plan. With a determination in his mind, Yi Tian walked out of the treasure appraiser without looking back, and then quickly returned home to set up the altar of the underworld. Divine domain. Metaverse. Boom boom boom. The moment the altar of the underworld was sacrificed, the legendary city of Atlantis in the ocean of metaverse trembled. The temple seemed to sense the horror of the altar of the underworld, and the 5,000 slimes also trembled. But soon they quieted down because Yi Tian integrated the altar of the underworld into the seabed. Opened up a subspace, the underworld. And this result was actually unexpected by Yi Tian at the beginning. Perhaps it was the hidden characteristics of the altar of the underworld because it came from the underworld. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you have obtained the divinity of Hades and comprehended the power of space. Current attributes. Lord of the Divine Domain, Yi Tian. Combat power. S+++, 4th level Great Perfection, Demigod Great Perfection. Talent. Regeneration, Divinity of Hades, Power of Space. Passive skill. Physical resistance reduction. Skill. Telekinesis. Reincarnation points. 60,000. Item. Heaven's Chain. Temple. Atlantis. Altar. Hades Altar. Divine Race. Slime. Number of races. 5,000. Demigod is perfect. Yi Tian's strength has also been improved by a level due to the expansion of the Divine Realm and the strengthening of the Divine Realm races. The most obvious is his soul and body, which can at least beat several of his previous selves. As for divine power, the sum of divine power is equivalent to the sum of the power of the Divine Realm races. This is the most helpless part of demigods. Before becoming a primary god, the divine power of demigods cannot compare to the power of their own bodies and souls. Yi Tian's Divine Realm race is slime, and the power of 5,000 slimes cannot provide much divine power for Yi Tian. However, Yi Tian has an S-level skill, telekinesis, which can make up for this shortcoming. The strength of telekinesis depends on the spirit. Yi Tian's soul is very strong, so the power of his telekinesis far exceeds his divine power. The gods in the universe of gods fight by entering the other side's divine domain, and the victory or defeat depends on the divine domain races of both sides. The gods do not like to participate in the battle in person, and the actual combat link of the college entrance examination only considers the combat power of the divine domain race. This unreasonable combat mode is said to be related to the void battlefield. So far, Yi Tian has never had a 1v1 duel with a demigod, but if he were to take a duel, 100 Jiao Shaorui would not be enough for him to defeat in seconds. The difference between the 1-star demigod and the Great Perfection demigod is nearly 100 times in terms of divine body strength alone, not to mention that Yi Tian also has telekinesis that can match the Great Perfection level divine power of a demigod. In the universe of gods, my personal strong characteristics cannot be fully exerted. Yi Tian felt a little regretful. In fact, the divine domain battle is a bit unfair to a god like him who is very strong individually. But the race of the god realm must be cultivated, because the stronger the race of the god realm, the stronger he will become. In the god universe, the more you reach the later realm, the more important the race of the god realm is. Before cultivating to the true god, there is almost no bottleneck, just brainlessly mass the troops. The key lies in resources. Without entering the void battlefield, it is almost impossible to have enough resources to raise the race of the god realm to the threshold of promotion to the true god. However, Yi Tian still has the reincarnation space. In the reincarnation space, the resources are absolutely sufficient, and in the reincarnation space, personal strength is crucial. The most important thing is that as long as the plan succeeds, Yi Tian's race of the god realm will be endless. That's a whole world of reincarnations. System, log into the reincarnation space. Thinking about it, Yi Tian couldn't wait, and immediately called the Wanji login system to start the login in the god realm. Ding! Login successful. In the reincarnation space, the Emperor of Heaven is here again. This Samsara tower is still so majestic. Yi Tian entered the Samsara space for the second time, and looked at the skyscrapers that seemed to have no end, and still felt a little emotional. Samsara tower, endless. Perhaps this samsara space is designed in this way to warn the reincarnators that the road is eternal and has no end. As if he understood a little, Yi Tian smiled slightly, and then walked into the dungeon hall. Samsara Hall. After Yi Tian came in, he directly searched for the goal of this trip, the Ninja Continent dungeon. To be precise, it is the Naruto dungeon. It's just that the samsara space hides the real name of the dungeon, because the name Naruto is too obvious. When all the reincarnators enter the dungeon to choose a force, they must choose the Konoha Ninja Village, so that this dungeon loses its meaning. And Etienne's goal of entering the Naruto dungeon this time is not the tailed beast or the Sharingan, but the Book of Seals of the Konoha Ninja Village. To be precise, it is to obtain the most important ninjutsu, immortality, in the Book of Seals. Impure World Reincarnation, a bug-level ninjutsu, can revive the dead as long as there is blood gene, and the dead still have an almost immortal body and inexhaustible chakra energy. Apart from other things, the tactical value of this ninjutsu itself is very strong. In the original Naruto, Kabuto Yakushi used this ninjutsu and played a great role in the Ninja World War. If Yitien uses this ninjutsu to fight the God Realm War, his enemies will really cry for their parents. And Yitien wants, Imperial World Reincarnation, more to revive those dead reincarnationists. In the reincarnation space, if the resurrection function is used to revive one person normally, Yitien's points are enough, but to revive 10 billion dead reincarnationists, the price is unbearable for Yitien, and no force in the reincarnation space can afford it. But Impure World Reincarnation should not require points, as long as there are sacrifices and the blood genes of reincarnationists. Imperial World Reincarnation, as a skill brought out by the reincarnation space, it can definitely be used in the reincarnation space. The soul data of the reincarnationists must be saved in the reincarnation space, otherwise how can the reincarnationists be resurrected? Moreover, those who were resurrected by the Impure World Reincarnation were not real reincarnations. Their reincarnation watches had long been gone. They were just temporary combat puppets, although they could retain their consciousness. They thought that if they were completely resurrected and wanted to become reincarnations again, they would work hard to fight for Yitien in exchange for merits. As for how to get merits, it was still up to Yitien to decide. As for whether the reincarnation space would allow Yitien's somewhat buggy behavior. Yitien thought about it carefully, and the reincarnation space had no reason to punish him, because the reincarnations resurrected by the Impure World Reincarnation should belong to Yitien's combat puppets. Even if there were 10 billion combat puppets, it would not be a violation. The more reincarnations there were in the reincarnation space, the better. Even if they were all resurrected, it would only benefit the reincarnation space and not harm it. The biggest problem with this plan was actually the blood of the dead reincarnations, but Yitien had checked it in the reincarnation forum. After so many years of national reincarnation, many reincarnations would leave a copy of their own gene samples in the reincarnation hospital, hoping that one day if they had an accident, someone would revive them with gene samples. With gene samples, resurrection can save a lot of points. But most of them are loved ones and friends, and even loved ones and friends, many of them can't afford the price and can't do anything. In contrast, some large reincarnation forces often resurrect reincarnations. These large forces are rich and powerful, and it is normal to resurrect some outstanding reincarnations or children of high-level officials. Some forces even use the lives of reincarnations to open up wasteland, and then share information after they are resurrected. However, this behavior is strictly limited in the reincarnation space. The memories of the resurrected reincarnations will be missing, and the strength will decline according to the death situation. Sometimes, no useful information can be obtained and a large number of elites are lost, which is a loss of both the wife and the army. However, although the strength has declined, the combat power of most reincarnations is superior to that of the semi-gods in the divine domain. The combat power of the divine domain race of a one-star primary god is only 1000 A-level reincarnations. And Yitien's resurrection of these deceased reincarnations is just the second step of his plan to steal the corner. The third step is to truly win over those living reincarnations. Create a divine race composed of reincarnations. And Yitien also named this plan, the Reincarnation God Clan Plan. Just summon 10 billion reincarnation gods, and ask the enemy if they are afraid. Yitien raised his mouth slightly, and then walked towards the door of the Naruto copy. The door of the Naruto copy is easy to find, because there are too many reincarnations at the door of the copy. I'm from Konoha, who can form a team. I'm from Mist Ninja, who can help me explore the mystery of the annihilation of Mist Ninja Samsara. Shabi, all the samsara of Genin died when they entered Mist Ninja. It's really like picking a lamp in a toilet, looking for death. This guy is also a talent. Come to the land of lightning. Although the management style of Cloud Ninja Village is a bit like the army, but the strength is really strong. HMPH. The third generation Raikage died at the hands of our 10,000 strong coalition of rock ninja. Brother, it's safest to come to our land of earth. Listening to the noisy team formation, Yi Tian was a little speechless. It feels like forming a group to play a dungeon. Is this really a reincarnation space? This handsome guy, is he a newcomer? At this time, behind him, a royal sister who was a little too beautiful, with a temperament as charming as fire, and dressed a little like Yanling Ji, came with a surging momentum, instantly attracting the attention of countless people around. I guess so, Yi Tian said lightly. He has only performed a reincarnation mission once, so he should be considered a newcomer. No wonder, it's very common to form a team in the reincarnation space. You look so surprised, you're a newcomer. Sister Yan Ling explained with a chuckle. Are you not afraid of backstabs when forming a team? Yi Tian said bluntly. It's not the time when the reincarnation space just came. There are more cooperations than hostilities among reincarnations, especially those big forces, who will not easily go to war with each other. Most of the individual teams will buy a space contract to prevent backstabs. After a pause, Sister Yan Ling reminded with a serious expression, of course, if there are major interests, backstabs must be backstabbed. The space contract is not omnipotent and there will be some loopholes. I understand, thank you. Yi Tian did not intend to form a team with others. He said politely and turned to walk into the Naruto copy. Ah, leaving now. The little sister Yan Ling was a little surprised. She had said so much to Yi Tian out of kindness, just to ask if he was willing to form a team with her. If Yi Tian was willing, she could even recommend him to join her reincarnation force, Quicksand. Unexpectedly, is this the straight man in this world? Straight men deserve to be single for life. Miss Yan Ling gritted her teeth and cursed secretly, and then walked into the Naruto copy. But the moment she entered the copy, she heard a prompt that shocked her. Player Tiandi, use the time-space login card. The login timeline of subsequent reincarnations entering the ninja continent will be adjusted. He is Tiandi. I didn't expect that he was the Emperor of Heaven who got an SSS rating. I just wanted to team up with him. Yanling Yuji blushed slightly. She originally thought that Yi Tian was a newbie and felt that she had a good impression of him, so she wanted to take him with her. Unexpectedly, the other party turned out to be that Emperor of Heaven. Her behavior just now was probably a bit frivolous in the eyes of others. Ah, how shameful, Yanling Yuji shouted for a while, and then entered the dungeon without a trace. When she entered the dungeon, she found out that the timeline was adjusted to more than 10 years before the beginning of the plot, not long after the end of the Third Ninja World War, when Minato Namikaze served as the fourth Hokage. Because she was a fire-attributed psychic, she used the dungeon identity card to choose the Uchiha clan of the Konoha Ninja Village, which happened to be in the same ninja village as Yi Tian. But she didn't know that Yi Tian also chose Konoha. At this time, Yi Tian appeared in a huge manor in Konoha village. The manor was blessed by a ninjutsu barrier, and ordinary people could not see the scene inside. It was obviously the secluded clan of Konoha's top family. Master Tien. When the guards passing by the manor saw Yi Tian, they all shouted respectfully. Because Yi Tian's identity is the direct descendant of the Senju clan, and the descendant of Senju Hashirama's cousin. For this identity, Yi Tian spent 3 copies of identity cards. One identity card can only allow him to obtain the identity of the Senju clan, which is a very marginalized identity. If you want to become a direct descendant, you have to consume 2 more identity cards. And becoming a direct descendant is not only convenient in identity, but also has another benefit: the immortal body. I directly awakened the immortal body. Yi Tian felt the endless vitality and recovery power in his body, and was very surprised, but with a sense of the soul, it was definitely the immortal body, and there was no escape. Ding! Congratulations to player Tiandi for obtaining the Sage Body SS. Sage Body. SS level physique, with physical potential close to that of a sage, with extraordinary recovery and physical strength, and by practicing any system at the same time, you can obtain amazing energy, such as chakra, spiritual power, divine power, vitality, armed color domineering, etc. Ding! After obtaining the Sage Body, the host's divine body power is close to that of an initial level god. At this time, the Wanji login system also joined in the fun. The physique of an initial level god is only SS level. Yi Tian frowned slightly, feeling that the physique of an initial level god is a bit weak, at most the level of Hashirama Senju, not even as good as the six-path sage. And the demigod physique is at most the level of the tailed beast. Ding! The gods of the god universe belong to the domain god system. Their advantage lies in the domain law and their inherent immortality, but their individual strength is not strong. Their divine bodies and souls are relatively weak among the gods and demons in the heavens and myriad worlds. In fact, the host's individual strength is greater than the combat power of the god domain, which is considered an outlier. Domain god system. That's true. The gods on the god planet all rely on the god domain and the god kingdom to fight. Yi Tian nodded, and then asked a key question. Is the god domain god system considered powerful in the heavens and myriad worlds? Ding! Very powerful, one of the top god systems. The system replied in seconds. Why, at present, it seems that it is not very strong compared with other god and demon systems. Yi Tian has always had some thoughts in his heart, because his strength far exceeds that of his own god domain race. If it were not for the improvement of the god domain to make his god power stronger, he would not want to cultivate the god domain race. It is better to spend all the resources on himself. Ding! In the late stage of the domain god system, the god domain can evolve into the kingdom of God, the kingdom of God can evolve into the universe, and the universe can continue to evolve. Does the host still feel weak? The system explained. Hiss. It seems that I still underestimated the power of the god system of the god universe. After listening to the system's explanation, Yi Tian stopped questioning the god system. He even felt that the god system really had unlimited prospects, because the core of the entire god system lies in the word, resources. Moreover, Yi Tian has the entire reincarnation space as a backstage, even dual cultivation is not a problem. He can cultivate the god domain race and strengthen his personal strength, and there is no conflict. Master Tien, there is a letter from Tsunade-sama for you. At this time, a senior ninja wearing an Anbu mask flashed in front of Yi Tian and knelt on one knee. Tsunade. Yi Tian was slightly stunned. Because of the identity card and the time-space login card, there was an extra memory. Tsunade's beautiful face and proud bear spirit emerged in his mind. In this memory, he and Tsunade were childhood sweethearts. He was of the same generation as Tsunade and was considered Tsunade's younger brother. Their relationship was a bit like that of orthopedics in a certain country. Moreover, because of Yi Tian's identity, Tsunade and Kato Dan were just ordinary friends. This is the power of the time-space login card plus identity card, which directly affected part of Tsunade's fate, but Tsunade still left Konoha because of the darkness of Konoha and the unclear death of her brother. But even if Tsunade left the Konoha ninja village, she would occasionally contact him. Of course, most of the time she would ask him to borrow money. Hehe, Tsunade, that big fat sheep. Every time she gambles, she will lose. A letter. It should be to persuade me to leave Konoha, a place of trouble. Yi Tian took the letter, asked the Jonin to leave, and then smiled coldly. He didn't even need to read the content of the letter, and he guessed it. Because the period he chose was when Minato Namikaze was the 4th Hokage, 1 month before the Nine Tails Rebellion, which was 1 month before Uzumaki Naruto was born. During the period when Uzumaki Naruto was about to be born, Konoha was about to be in turmoil. Since the death of the second Hokage, the Senju clan, except for the lineage of Senju Hashirama, basically moved out of Konoha village. If it weren't for the setting of the identity card, Yi Tian would not have stayed in Konoha. Tsunade wrote to him at this time, obviously worried that someone would take advantage of the chaos to harm him. It's a pity that Tsunade didn't think of it. I am also going to take advantage of the chaos to make trouble in Konoha. After Yi Tian glanced at the contents of the envelope, he found that it was almost the same as what he thought, so he tore it up directly. Although Tsunade was kind, she didn't know that Yi Tian was the biggest boss of Konoha now. The seal book of Konoha Ninja Village. If there is no Nine Tails Rebellion, it would be difficult to grab it. And the Nine Tails Rebellion caused countless casualties in Konoha. For Yi Tian, it is also a good choice to reincarnate a group of Konoha elites as the race of the God Realm. There is still 1 month left, let's practice ninjutsu first. Yi Tian deliberately chose the month before the Nine Tails Rebellion, just to practice ninjutsu first. Otherwise, he would not be able to use the sealed book immediately. Among ninjutsu, Yi Tian's favorite is illusion, not for anything else, but because of his powerful soul. With his soul power and his own divinity, if he gets the Sharingan, the effect of the illusion he casts on ordinary people may not be weaker than that of the gods. There is no rush to plan the Sharingan, because it is not the time for the Uchiha clan to be exterminated. Without the Sharingan, it is enough now. As for whether you can learn it, there are only 3 things to practice ninjutsu: chakra plus your own control and use of chakra plus understanding and creativity of ninjutsu. Yi Tian also has a sage body, so practicing chakra may be twice the result with half the effort. Even chakra belongs to the Otsutsuki family, and the speed of practice with a sage body may be faster than taking a train. For Yi Tian, who has reached the great perfection of demigod, whose soul is particularly powerful and who has strong control over energy, practicing ninjutsu is not a difficult thing. Illusions: the Senju clan doesn't seem to have many clan lands left. The Senju clan is not good at illusions, and the collection of illusions is small. With most of the clan members moving out of Konoha to live in seclusion, Yi Tian has no way to learn any advanced illusions in his own manner. Although there are some low-level illusions, Yi Tian is not interested in them. Then, I can only ask the Hokage for them. Yi Tian smiled slightly. He said something to the guards left behind by the Senju clan, and then walked out of the clan land in a swagger. As this Konoha village, it's not much different from the scene in the comics in the previous life. Walking on the street, Yi Tian carefully looked at the scene of Konoha and found that the Konoha ninja village was really prosperous and the people were simple. It's just that most villagers, even many ninjas, don't know the darkness hidden in Konoha village. That rotten root. As long as that rotten root is still there, Konoha will have no future. By the way, after entering the dungeon this time, there is no mission yet, and I don't even know what the main mission is. Is it because of the login time? Yi Tian realized that he had not triggered the mission yet. He still doesn't know enough about the reincarnation space. However, the Nine Tails Rebellion will happen in a month. He will never believe that the reincarnation space will not issue missions to the reincarnators. After strolling for a while, Yi Tian came to the Hokage's office in the center of the village. Master Tian. The 2 Jonins guarding the door were slightly surprised to see Yi Tian, the rare guest. Since Tsunade-sama left Konoha, this little ancestor usually likes to stay at home. Why did he come out today? I'm looking for Minato Namikaze. Yi Tian said lightly. Minato Namikaze is Jiraiya's apprentice. Jiraiya is of the same generation as him, and he has a noble status, so there is no problem calling him by his name directly. Of course, he can call him like this, but the 2 guards can't. Lord Hokage is upstairs, please follow me, Master Tien. Among the 2 guards, the Jonin who looked a bit ruffian, who seemed to be half a disciple of Minato Namikaze, seemed to have the last name Shiranui, but Yi Tian forgot his name. He walked in front and took Yi Tian upstairs. Lord Hokage. Shiranui Genma came to the door of the office and knocked gently. Please come in, Minato Namikaze said lightly. Master Tien, please. Shiranui Genma opened the door and said respectfully to Yi Tian. Well, that guy, you are good, I am optimistic about you. Before entering the door, Yi Tian saw that Shiranui Genma was so respectful, and patted his shoulder and said. Shiranui Genma lowered his head, his face full of black lines. Option me, my little ancestor, can you remember my name before saying this? However, when Yi Tian said he was optimistic about him, it was not a polite remark. In a world like Naruto where the death rate of ninjas is so high, this guy can survive to the end, which is really a bit of a skill. Tien, how come you have time to come to me today? After Shiranui Genma left, Namikaze Minato asked very familiarly. Looking at the handsome blonde young man in front of him, Yi Tian flashed a memory. In his memory, although Yi Tian was an elder, the age difference was not big, and he was not very arrogant, so he could chat with Namikaze Minato and his wife. After thinking about it, since they were quite familiar with each other, let's get straight to the point. I'm here to learn ninjutsu. Yi Tian said. Learn ninjutsu. Didn't you have no interest in ninjutsu before? Namikaze Minato was a little surprised to hear this. Just because I didn't have interest before doesn't mean I won't have interest in the future. What's more, Konoha seems to be a little weird recently. Yi Tian smiled meaningfully. Namikaze Minato paused after hearing this, and smiled brightly after a while. Konoha, there is nothing weird. He said this without any confidence. Yi Tian twitched his lips and said, forget it, you are the Hokage, if you say there is no, then there is no. Ah, Namikaze Minato was speechless and didn't know how to reply. Can you take me to see the Book of Seals now? Anyway, you are quite free. Yi Tian said. The Book of Seals, you have to learn the ninjutsu in the Book of Seals. Namikaze Minato was a little surprised, because the Book of Seals recorded almost all the ninjutsu and forbidden techniques of Konoha, and it was not an exaggeration to say that it was the lifeblood of a village. Hey, is there any need to be so surprised? Most of the ninjutsu and forbidden techniques in the Book of Seals were created by my second grandfather, Tobarama Senju. If I don't learn the Book of Seals of Konoha, should I learn the Rasengan you created? If you are willing to teach me, I don't care. Yi Tian said confidently. As a descendant of the Senju clan, is he not qualified to learn the ninjutsu created by his family? No matter how you say this, Konoha is not right. If the high-level officials of Konoha village dare to refuse, he will slaughter the high-level officials of Konoha on the night of the Nine Tails Rebellion. You want to learn the Rasengan, it's not that I can't teach you, but the Rasengan depends on your understanding. Minato Namikaze murmured. He was not stingy, but he didn't think Yi Tian could learn the Rasengan. Don't avoid the important things. Can't I learn the ninjutsu in the sealed book? Yi Tian's face was a little cold, and Minato Namikaze changed the subject a little. Minato Namikaze felt that it was reasonable to show Yi Tian the sealed book. But the sealed book was too important. Although he was a Hokage, he was always tied up in doing things. The elders and the third generation Hokage were just dividing his power. If the sealed book was shown to Yi Tian without the consent of the elders, it would be a headache again at the meeting. Minato, sometimes I doubt whether you are the Hokage or not. Yi Tian couldn't stand seeing Minato Namikaze's indecisive look and wanted to hit him. Of course I am the Hokage. These words seemed to hurt Minato Namikaze's heart and made him look serious. Then let me ask you, the Book of Seals is originally managed by the Hokage. Who does the Hokage need to be approved by others to show it to? When the third Hokage was in power, did he need to get approval from others? I can't learn the ninjutsu in the Book of Seals. At worst, I will leave Konoha and return to the Senju clan. There are many people willing to teach me, but I think you should not be the Hokage, so as not to embarrass yourself. Yi Tian sneered. Minato Namikaze felt a pain in his heart after being scolded by Yi Tian, but he didn't know how to refute. After a long time, he took a deep breath, as if he had made up his mind. I understand. Come with me. However, even the Hokage cannot let you watch the forbidden techniques and some special ninjutsu in the sealed book at will. Minato Namikaze finally looked like a Hokage at this moment. As for the forbidden techniques, Yi Tian did not plan to learn them now. It would be easy to deal with it after knowing the location of the sealed book. I didn't plan to learn many ninjutsu this time. Even if you don't take me to see the sealed book, the result will be the same. Yi Tian said lightly. Anyway, when the Nine Tails Rebellion comes, he can easily get the sealed book, and it will not be a problem to slaughter the high-level officials of Konoha at that time. Then why are you so fierce in your words? Minato Namikaze was a little puzzled. I just can't stand it. Yi Tian said. Hearing this, Minato Namikaze was silent for a while, and finally smiled at Yi Tian with a sunny smile. Thank you. Thank you. Did this guy misunderstand something? Yi Tian was stunned. Ding. Player Tiandi received the heartfelt gratitude of Namikaze Minato and completed the hidden mission, True Fourth Hokage, and received the reward, Flying Thunder God Technique. This can also complete the hidden mission. Flying Thunder God Technique. Space-time ninjutsu. After practicing, you can jump through the set, space-time nodes. Ding. Because the player Tiandi has the power of space, he automatically comprehends the Flying Thunder God Technique and obtains S-level chakra, shadow level. Current attributes. Player Tiandi. Combat power S+++, 4th level, demigod. Talent: regeneration, Hades divinity, space power. Passive skills: physical reduction resistance. Skills: telekinesis, ninjutsu flying thunder god technique. Reincarnation points: 60,000. Items: Heaven's Lock, Copy ID card X2, Space-Time Login card X2. You learned it already. Yi Tian felt that the surprise came too suddenly. I haven't read the Book of Seals yet, and I've learned the space-time ninjutsu. The power of space is really a good thing. After mastering the space-time ninjutsu, Yi Tian's combat power has been raised to another level. He can be said to be invincible in Konoha village. What's wrong? Minato Namikaze asked curiously when he saw Yi Tian suddenly stop. Nothing. Yi Tian smiled, looking at Minato Namikaze as if he was looking at a boy who brought fortune. Why does it feel a bit weird? Minato Namikaze didn't know why he felt a bit like a thorn in his back when being stared at by Yi Tian, but he didn't feel any danger, it was just weird. At this moment, he didn't know what kind of gift he brought to Yi Tian. And he was grateful to Yi Tian because Yi Tian woke him up to be a real Hokage. Minato Namikaze had thought about being stronger before, but his personality was too gentle, and he couldn't take back the power in the end. In fact, if he made up his mind, Minato Namikaze's strength was the strongest in Konoha at present, his wife was the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, and his teacher Jiraiya was one of the 3 ninjas. He was also very prestigious among the Konoha ninjas and villagers. If he became strong, Konoha would still be his decision. The 3rd Hokage and Danzo were not a concern at all. As long as Minato Namikaze shows enough strength and builds his own power, it will not be difficult to get the 3rd Hokage to give up his power. After the 3rd Hokage is dealt with, what threat will a mere Danzo and those useless elders pose? Unfortunately, it's too late. Yi Tian shook his head slightly behind Minato Namikaze. If Minato Namikaze had realized it earlier and made Konoha village a solid block, the Nine-Tails Rebellion in the future would not have killed him. It's too late now, there's no time. Although Yi Tian can suppress Uchiha Obito and the Nine-Tails, Yi Tian has no feelings for the Konoha ninja village and hates the Konoha high-level officials. If he doesn't destroy Konoha, those high-level officials of Konoha should burn incense and worship Buddha and thank heaven and earth. It's impossible to expect to help Konoha, and it's impossible in this life. The sealed book is here. After arriving at the secret room where the sealed book is stored, Minato Namikaze used a secret technique to unlock the sealed book. Yi Tian found that the sealed book was very close to the Hokage's office, and the guards around it seemed quite lax. No wonder Naruto in the original novel was able to get it so easily. Of course, it was because it was Naruto that he could get it easily. Just like Yi Tian can come in easily now, without even checking who brought him in. Shadow Clone, Illusion Darkness Walking Technique, Water Style Waterfall Technique. Yi Tian quickly flipped through the ninjutsu in the sealed book. Namikaze Minato was quite generous, and basically gave him the authority to unlock all ninjutsu, unless it was an S-level ninjutsu or a secret forbidden technique. Ah, you read the ninjutsu so fast. Minato Namikaze thought Yi Tian's behavior was a bit childish. There's nothing to see, ninjutsu equals chakra plus seal, it's that simple. Yi Tian said indifferently. Minato Namikaze. If ninjutsu was that simple, he wouldn't be called a genius. To learn ninjutsu is to have a sufficient understanding of ninjutsu, and advanced ninjutsu also requires control of the changes in the form and attributes of chakra. You don't believe it? Yi Tian glanced at Minato Namikaze, and then simply made a seal. Shadow Clone Technique. Bang! After a burst of white smoke, Yi Tian's shadow clone appeared in front of Minato Namikaze. Quote. Minato Namikaze was convinced. Although the shadow clone is easy to learn, a person who has never learned ninjutsu can only learn it, which is indeed genius level. I didn't expect you to be a genius. Minato Namikaze felt a little regretful. If Yi Tian had practiced ninjutsu earlier, he would be another, cage level, strongman now, and Konoha would be even stronger. And Yi Tian supported him, so that some of his ideas could be successfully implemented in Konoha. Okay. Just as Minato Namikaze was sighing, Yi Tian had already closed the scroll of the sealed book. What are you doing? Minato Namikaze asked in astonishment. I've finished reading it. Yi Tian pointed to his brain. He was a demigod. With his brain capacity, was it difficult to remember thousands of ninjutsu? Quote. Minato Namikaze was a little shocked. After leaving the Hokage's office, Yi Tian smiled contentedly, especially when he thought of Minato Namikaze's last expression, haha, he laughed even happier. People's physiques cannot be generalized, not to mention that I am a god, even if I am only a demigod now. Yi Tian was able to achieve such a gain, thanks to the divine body and soul given to him by the divine universe. Of course, this is inseparable from his own efforts for more than 10 years. He has been silently training his divine body and divine soul for more than 10 years. Otherwise, he would not be called a genius. If a brainless demigod like Zhao Xiaorui came here, it is estimated that the shadow clone would not know how long it would take to learn. Senju Yi Tian. Just when Yi Tian was less than 100 meters away from the Hokage's office, two ninjas dressed like Anbu appeared in front of him. Anbu. No, it's the root. Yi Tian smiled coldly. Most of the ninjas in the Anbu are controlled by the third-generation Hokage, and the rest obey the fourth-generation Hokage. The subordinates of these two Hokages would never call him by his name. Only the puppies raised by that old dog Danzo would be so rude to him, the young master of the Senju clan. Danzo, please don't make it difficult for us. The two ninjas of the Root organization said in a somewhat indifferent tone. Ha ha ha, I have to go just because Danzo invites me. Who the hell is he? Yi Tian laughed, unbridled. Then I'm sorry. The two ninjas saw that Yi Tian didn't cooperate, so they took action directly, using the shadow imitation technique to connect Yi Tian's shadow. That dog Danzo is really lawless. Yi Tian smiled coldly. He had decided, he would slaughter the elders of Konoha, even Jesus couldn't save them. First, collect some interest. Since he was going to kill Danzo and the others, Yi Tian would naturally not let go of the two Root ninjas in front of him. Telekinesis blast. Bang. Yi Tian only glared at the two ninjas who were performing the shadow imitation technique, and the invisible telekinesis crushed the two ninjas and exploded instantly. Moreover, under the wrapping of telekinesis, it did not even alarm the guarding ninjas near the Hokage's office. Player Tiandi, kill the special ninja Narajuya, and get 500 reincarnation points. Player Tiandi, kill the ninja Nara Kuroki, get 1000 reincarnation points, and get the ninjutsu, Shadow Secret Art. Killing monsters can also explode equipment. It seems that after a month, I can't help but go on a killing spree. Yi Tian grinned, and his interest in killing Danzo and the others became even stronger. After a pause, Yi Tian looked at the shadow in the corner and said coldly, "You can come out now." He found us. I'll hold him back, you retreat first, report to Lord Danzo, Senju Yi Tian has been hiding his skills. The two Root killers in the corner panicked immediately. Danzo sent them just to be on the safe side, to prevent Namikaze Minato from rescuing them. But they didn't expect that Namikaze Minato was not alarmed, but Yi Tian killed their two companions in an instant, and now they can only fight desperately. Ninjutsu Heart-Turning Technique. Instant Body Technique. Two ninjas, one used the soul secret technique of Yamanaka, one of the three major secret technique families of Ino, Shikaku and Cho, to enter Yi Tian's body and control him for a short time. One directly used the advanced instant body secret technique and ran towards the Root's base. Soul Secret Technique. Self-destruction. Yi Tian laughed sarcastically. Without the Soul Secret Technique of the Yamanaka family ninja, his soul could directly enter his soul sea. Well, how is it possible? The moment he entered Yi Tian's soul sea, the ninja of the Yamanaka family was backfired and nothing was left. The soul power of the two, one is like the Wangyang Sea, and the other is just a drop of water, there is no comparison at all. Player Tiandi, kill the special ninja Yamanaka Taro, get 500 reincarnation points. Get a special item, Soul Fragment. Soul Fragment can absorb and strengthen soul power, and can also be used to refine soul tools. One by one, the treasure boys are so cool. Yi Tian sighed, killing is really fun. And because the soul of this Yamanaka Taro was crushed in his soul, the dissipated soul memory was also read by Yi Tian. Let him know many secret places of the Root and the hiding place of Danzo. Very good, Yamanaka Taro, you have a place in the impure world reincarnation. Yi Tian smiled, and then his figure flashed and disappeared into the void. Player Tiandi, kill the senior ninja Harada Ichiro, get 1000 reincarnation points, and get advanced instant body technique. When Yi Tian came out of the void, he had a head in his hand, the head of a ninja. The ninja named Harada Ichiro died with his eyes wide open. He was about to see the entrance to the root base, and his neck suddenly broke. Before he died, he didn't understand why Yi Tian knew the time and space ninjutsu. And when was Yi Tian's flying thunder god mark planted on him? My flying thunder god mark is an invisible spiritual power. Yi Tian murmured, as if explaining to the dead Harada Ichiro. After that, he threw the head at the entrance of the root base and wrote a line of big words in blood. When the root ninjas rushed out of the base, they were all very angry. Especially the old man standing in front of them who seemed to be dying, Danzo Shimura. I will kill Danzo, even the six-path sage can't save him, I said. Looking at this line of bloody words, Danzo's face turned black with anger. This was clearly an assassination attempt against him, Danzo, and the root. The target of the assassination was the 4 capable subordinates he sent out. Who is it? Senju Yi Tian. Impossible, the strong men in their clan had long left Konoha, he doesn't have that ability. Namikaze Minato. He's not so cruel, is it the 3rd generation or the Uchiha clan, or those people? Danzo was very angry and panicked, because he was very afraid of death, and he would not be able to sleep if he couldn't find the murderer. Humph, no matter who it is, I will make you pay the price. Danzo Shimura said coldly. At this time, the murderer Yi Tian, who Danzo personally denied, was swaggering back to the clan land of the Senju clan. Danzo probably never dreamed that it was him who did it. When Danzo finds out, that will be his death. Now Yi Tian knows the whereabouts of the sealed book and has obtained a lot of ninjutsu secrets. He will practice slowly in the next month and wait for the day of the Nine-Tailed Rebellion to complete this mission. But when he passed by the Konoha Security Bureau, which is the territory of the Uchiha clan, he saw a beautiful face he had seen before. Is it her? Yi Tian was slightly startled. Isn't this the lady who chatted with him at the door of the copy? Unexpectedly, she also entered this copy and chose the Uchiha clan. I don't know whether to say she is lucky or unlucky. Lucky because the Sharingan is a good bloodline, but the Uchiha clan is not having a good time in Konoha now, and it will be only a few years before the night of extermination. It's you, Lord Tiandi. When Yi Tian looked at him, the flame spirit lady also noticed Yi Tian's gaze and was immediately overjoyed. Unexpectedly, she and Lord Tiandi chose the same camp. At least there would be no hostility, and maybe they could cooperate. Yeah, Yi Tian nodded, not wanting to talk to her anymore. He didn't trust anyone in the reincarnation space unless they signed a contract with him and became his divine race. Otherwise, nothing to talk about. Emperor, please stay. Sister Yan Ling saw that Yi Tian didn't even turn his head, and immediately didn't want to miss this opportunity, so she flashed in front of him. Not bad speed. Yi Tian commented lightly, this speed was at the level of an elite Jonin. Hehe, thank you Emperor for your praise. Sister Yan Ling smiled. Just say it if you have something to say. Yi Tian didn't want to waste time. Emperor, I triggered a hidden mission of the SSS level. Sister Yan Ling looked around and said in a low voice. If you complete a hidden mission of the SSS level, won't you be able to get a super god evaluation directly? Yi Tian looked a little strange, this girl seemed to have a bit of good luck. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.